The Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about. Yes,
Speaking his mind
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
while being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. It is Thursday, March 4th, 2021. This sports show on Sirius XM will begin immediately following this beat drop from Twine. We had another intro song candidate sent to us this morning via Stuff for the Show at patmcafeeshow.com, and that's the number 4, not the word 4. It has a little bit to be worked on for sure, but nothing has been able to top Twine's beat just yet. Plenty have tried. Nobody has been able to answer. Nick goes through that thing every single day looking for new music, better music for the show, new intros, whatever you think it could be. Send it to stuff, STUFF, the number 4, the show at patmcafeeshow.com. Is that right, Nick? Please, is that accurate? His microphone's dead.
Baby Nick.
If you could send a new microphone into the email for our guy Nick, that'd be fantastic. Anyways, today, big day. Big day. Okay?
Big day.
Golden Tate released from the New York Giants just yesterday, saving them like $6 million worth of cash. Kyle Van Noy was the first. Kyle Rudolph then happened. Golden Tate's now happening. Will Lutz, kicker for the Saints, renegotiating his contract down in New Orleans. This comes just one day after a tweet from Dianna Russini, who will be joining us today at 12:25 Eastern Standard Time, where she said that one NFL head coach told her that next week is going to be a massacre in the NFL. We'll talk to her about what that means. I assume the Golden Tate, Kyle Rudolph, Kyle Van Noy thing will continue to roll into next week in a much bigger fashion. We said this yesterday, and I think it's the best way to describe it. Your favorite player on your favorite team, the guy that you have the jersey of, if he didn't have his best year he's ever had last year, look for them to redo his contract or send his ass out of town. That's what it sounds like. We'll talk to Dianna Russini about that in about 20 minutes or so. Cannot wait to chat with her. Also, Warren Sharp of Sharp Analytics will join us in the second hour, talking about the numbers, the free agency, who spends, who loses, who wins. I get a bit bored with the analytics stuff, but he has an ability to kind of spice it up a little bit, especially with that beautiful mustache that he has. And then legendary kicker, formerly of the New England Patriots and the Chicago Bears, ladies and gentlemen, the San Francisco 49er kicker currently, Robbie Gould.
Fair done.
You have him in a Chicago Bear uniform, Zito.
Wait, what happened?
He kind of snuck through the cracks there. I would like to let every 49ers fan know that watches the show, which is not a lot, by the way. We do not have a lot of 49ers fans in the demographic we've been told by the analytics people on the internet. We do not have a lot of Niners fans that watch. But that Robbie Gould graphic is very rude for the amount of money that you guys paid for him.
What?
The Chicago Bears kicked his ass out of fucking town. This is absolute bullshit, and this comes from Zito, who is a Chicago Bear fan.
What are you talking about? He leads our points. He played for us for 10 years. We love him.
No, you guys actually kicked him out of town, just like Tom Brady got kicked out of New England. Now, with that being said, Robbie Gould is at the point now where if he misses a kick, it's surprising. It's alarming. Now, just like Justin Tucker, when he misses, it's like news. That's what Robbie Gould's been doing for like the last 10 years. Cannot wait to chat with him. I actually met him when I went to the Penn State kicking camp whenever I was in high school. He was the current kicker for the Penn State Nittany Lions. He was running on the treadmill as if he was a marathon man as we were getting a tour through the building or whatever. I'd go on to kick like 60, 65-yard field goals at that camp. They would then send me letters with my picture on a Penn State football player. Can't wait, Tom Bradley, who was formerly defensive coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers and of Penn State for a long, long time. I don't know where he's at. I'd get handwritten letters from. Can't wait for you to be a Penn State Nittany Lion. How you doing? Here we go. And then they Mike McQueary, you can Google him. That guy actually said I was not Penn State material. Thank God it sounds like with the way that guy judged Penn State material or whatever. But I got a chance to meet Robbie Gould. He was always very nice to me. as when we got in the NFL. The Chicago Bears and us, we had a joint practice when Robbie was still in Chicago. He was always very nice to me. Robbie Gould has been around a long time, always been very nice. First time he's going to be on the show, I cannot wait to chat with him. COVID Cowboy, Tone Diggs is here. Diggs, it seems like things are starting to pop off in the NFL world now. We'll gamble on this college basketball. Okay, we'll fuck around with the Fade and Foxy, which is now a super boost on FanDuel until he wins.
I think it could go forever.
So last night, Fade Foxy boost was Portland plus 2.5 or whatever. That obviously covers. For those of us that backed Foxy last night, that wasn't a fucking charge, okay? That wasn't 2 nights in a row. These charge calls by these stripes are screwing my bets over. Dame Time came through at the end, okay? Didn't have the greatest game, but he hits a step back three that looked like an air ball. Okay, I was watching, I thought it was an air ball. It was so clean it went through. And then all of a sudden, Golden State has a chance to go back. Golden State was Foxy's lock yesterday. Foxy's locks have gone 7-17 over the last 24 days. God. Okay, I've been with them the entire ride. Last night, we were supposed to win. Golden State has a chance to answer. Dame Time. Steph Curry has the ball. Steph Curry was in Matt Barnes' all-time fantasy three-point shooting contest. One of the greatest shooters of all time. I think it was Larry Bird, Steph Curry, Reggie Miller, Klay Thompson, and I forget who the fifth one was. Somebody's going to attack me for it. I apologize, that whole thing. But Steph Curry's on your team. Okay? You need it. You need something. You need something. I'm betting with Foxy here. The Fade Foxy people are pumped. Steph Curry has the ball. He couldn't get that ball out of his hand fast enough. Nobody talked. Everybody would bury LeBron early. Last night, Steph could have made a shot. I mean, that's what he does. Gives the ball to Draymond fucking Green. Listen, I love Draymond Green. Okay, I absolutely love Draymond Green. What he's been able to do, both media-wise and plays. But Steph Curry couldn't get that ball out of his hands fast enough. Draymond Green then sprints at the hoop like he's Usain Bolt. Okay, and Damian Lillard hits a moving sidewalk right in front of him, and he's still at full speed, get in front of him, run over the ref, fucking the whole thing, you know what I mean? I just woke up, I lose again, we suck again. But the Fade Foxy bet is 1-0 on Super Boost on FanDuel. It'll probably happen again tonight. Look out for it. But this Foxy dude's on vacation, costing me a lot of fucking money.
What I believe happens there, Steph has a deal with Draymond that if Draymond doesn't get thrown out by the end of the game, he does get the last shot of the game.
I like Draymond. Like, that's the type of guy you want on your team, okay? He's going to get all the fouls. All right, he's going to talk all the shit. He's going to do all of that.
Good rebounder.
He got screwed last night. That was not a charge, okay? That was clearly a block. Draymond's going to go knock those down, by the way, and we're going to move on. With that being said, why does he have the ball there? Why? I don't know basketball, but why does he have...
shot out of a cannon.
Oh, my God. He was in a full sprint. He might have the quickest burst in the NBA. I've never seen somebody get to full speed that fast, and then all of a sudden just trucks. It was a nightmare. But anyways, let's get back to what we were going to talk about. The NFL's heating up here.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, teams are about to look very different, Diggs. Teams are about to look very, very different, I think. Now, Diana's going to be able to tell us more here in about 15 minutes, but this is insanity. This is something we've never seen before. That's how it's being described, and it's only going to start. Golden Tate getting released. I don't think any of us are, that wasn't like a shocker. They're saving $6 million. It seemed like he wasn't practicing or whatever last year. It didn't seem like it was a good fit. Golden Tate kind of, later in his career, probably has many years left. He seems to be in great shape and has still got it or whatever. He's going to go somewhere probably that has a chance to win or whatever. But I think there's going to be a lot of ring chasing available within the next week or so, and that's good for shows that have to go daily and talk about next to nothing.
It's great for shows. It's great for us to talk about. It's great for teams. Some teams not so much. Like Golden Tate got released, and I was like, oh, perfect. He tagged the Steelers last time he was a free agent or whatever. He was trying to get to the Steelers. But then you look at the cap, and you're like, oh, there's pretty much no way that our team's going to be involved in this awesome year where all these great players are going to have to get cut, and we could sign to get better. Nope. No, yeah,
your team stinks. Yeah, in this particular facet. The salary cap, your team potentially stinks.
A lot of teams are going to be like, oh, that guy would help us.
But there's a few teams that are in a really good spot.
Yeah.
Indianapolis Colts are one of those teams. New England Patriots are one of those teams. There are some other teams that can really get good. Carolina Panthers, I believe, have a lot of cap space. There are some teams, and whenever old buddy from, was it the Vikings owner? No, Kansas City owner? Arizona's owner, who just signed J.J. Watt, said there's going to be a seismic shift in the NFL as we see it over the next week or two with the way people are going to try to get under the salary cap. Things are going to change. Teams are about to come out of nowhere. Teams are about to be loaded with talent. Now, talent can only get you so far. Will they be able to come together and win like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were able to do, like the Kansas City Chiefs have been able to do over the last couple of years? That is all TBD. It seems like the Miami Dolphins, seems like Gumpy's team, the Miami Dolphins, they're not going to be in the game to try to build up. But what if they were clear in space? What if Kyle Van Noy, something happened we don't know about? We will talk to him eventually when he lands on his feet somewhere. He's going to go ring chase, I'd assume, at this point of his career. Probably want to stay in Florida. Had said he potentially had FOMO when he saw Rob and Tom celebrating. That seems like that could potentially be a good fit for him in Tampa, but we'll see how that goes. But what if they're just clear in space? What if Russell Wilson comes down to Miami? Will that change everything? Or if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, are you like, no, we suck again forever?
Unless it's Deshaun Watson at this point, that's the only thing that makes sense. But they have cap space. There's $25 million there before Van Noy was cut, I believe.
Okay, so we'll go through all the cap space. Obviously, that thing's been listed out, and we'll do that whole conversation. The Deshaun Watson conversation is Gridiron, which is a social media account that does football stuff.
I believe it's under Bleacher Report shield.
Is Gridiron?
I believe so. There also
No,
could
that's
be
BR Gridiron.
There could be a BR Gridiron.
That's BR
there's just a
Gridiron.
gridiron.
Can you put that graphic up that I put the Chicago
Gridiron
Bears
gang.
one? The Chicago Bears Deshaun Watson one?
Hold on. Oh. There we go.
That's just Gridiron. So that's not Bleacher Report Gridiron there. That's just Gridiron. I'm sorry to Gridiron. I think it might be a UK. This might be a UK thing. I'm not 100% sure, but they're quoting Jeff Darlington's reporting of it's going to be tough to find a team that's willing to give up as much as the Bears are right now for Deshaun Watson. Zito, how's it going, pal? Deshaun Watson, though, if he ends up at the Chicago Bears. Now, we have been told that the Houston Texans aren't answering any phone calls, but now Jeff Darlington is reporting that the Chicago Bears are doing the most to get Deshaun Watson. I did not hear that, did not expect that. Ryan Pace, who has heard all the Trubisky jokes about Mitchell Trubisky being drafted over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, is like, we can make this right now, as long as these motherfuckers down there will answer the call. It seems like they haven't been able to do that. I did not expect the Chicago Bears to be in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, but Russell Wilson also said, I love Chicago. Look for Chicago to maybe make some plays, huh, Ty? You got Motor City, Dan Campbell in Detroit. We talked to him yesterday. I'm a believer.
So am I. I mean, that's the one to be worried about. I am not. The Bears stink, and also like who are they going to get? Like, I don't think they have very much draft capital, do they? I think they're still recovering. I mean, they traded like 5 first-round picks when they got Khalil Mack. So I don't know. I mean, and their line stinks. They got a lot of work to do. That's why I don't know why Russ wants to go there so bad. Deshaun, I mean, I guess he just wants to get out of there, but I'm not worried about the Bears.
Now, Miami obviously is everybody's thought that's where Deshaun will go. That's where Russell would go. That's where those quarterbacks that are, way up there that would demand a lot of capital, because Miami has 3 within the first 50 picks or something. 3 within the first 50 or 60 picks. They have 3 picks within the first 60 picks. 57 is the last one? Do we know what the
I think
third
it's even earlier. It might be 3 within the first 40.
Okay, so they have 2 in the first, and then they have 1 in the
Early
second.
second,
Yeah, so they have 3 picks, which is what allegedly the Seattle Seahawks have come out and said that's where the conversations are starting at. So let's assume the Deshaun Watson conversation are the same, because Stafford went for 2 firsts in a future something, so they're probably going to expect 3 firsts in that whole thing. And the Miami Dolphins have it. They basically, here you go. This year, too. Not like down the road. We have it right now. Everybody would assume they get in the game. But with the cut of Kyle Van Noy, it's kind of like, are they or are they not? Or what are they doing? And are they believers in Tua? Because...
Sounds like no one else is.
What is the deal? What is the deal?
I don't know.
Devontae Smith wins a Heisman this year, alongside his Heisman finalist, Mac Jones, quarterback brother, okay? He was asked by an NFL team at Senior Bowl or something like that, if you had to pick between Mac Jones or Tua, who would you pick? That team scumbaggingly leased that out to a reporter, the reporter's doing their job, okay? Like, they're just doing what they're being told, or what they're just reporting the information they're being told or whatever. The NFL team, though, that reported, Devontae, like, without hesitation, said Mac Jones by far over to it. No, like, that's how it was reported, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you put Devontae in a terrible spot here. The NFL team asked him the question, okay, let's hear it because this could potentially help us out, and we want to know if he'll be real with us or not. And then immediately, we're going to break the trust of an interview or a conversation, and we're going to go ahead and report this publicly. So whoever did that kind of fucked up for sure. Now we got the NFL Network asking J-Dub, Jalen Waddle, another stud wide receiver, on an appearance just yesterday, I believe. This is a public time. So Devontae got a gotcha question within private that got leaked. Fucked up. NFL Network then is like, well, this information is already out there. We might as well ask another wide receiver. Can we run that video?
Dolphins have 3, 18, 36, and 50.
30, so 4 within the first 50.
That's a lot of picks. Can we run that, please?
This one might be unfair, but I'm gonna ask you either way, right? So
kinda
bear with
fucked
me,
up, but I'm gonna
Jalen.
ask.
Article last week that said when Devontae Smith was in Mobile and he was talking to all the teams, someone asked him, "Hey, who'd you prefer,
Devontae Smith
Tua
didn't
or
say
Mac?"
this.
And he allegedly went, "Oh, Mac." Can I ask you the same question?
Kind of fucked up, but yeah, I guess.
I like Mac Jones too. I like Mac Jones.
Definitive.
Just my preference. Both of them great quarterbacks, but I love Mac. He was the guy that I came in with, and from day one, we was on the third team together, and we worked our way up. So Mac.
Okay, so that's Jalen Waddle. That's very interesting because there wasn't like Tua, great dude, love Tua, love what he did. We had a lot of success together. By the way, they did, those two. Love what we accomplished. There was none of that. Now, I'm not saying that he's been media trained or whatever to give like an answer that doesn't potentially burn any bridges or anything like that. He was giving a real answer. But it is a little bit interesting now that people who have been around him are like, this one guy that started only 1 year, cried in a mugshot, has a bad body, can't really run that much. He's much better than the guy that just got drafted. That's wild to me. And that's, by the way, have to say it again. That is a incredibly unfair position for Waddle to be put in right there. Like, incredibly unfair. That is, I mean, I understand asking the question. I don't actually.
No.
I don't understand asking the question.
Having a laugh about it.
Well, especially
too.
on
Like,
NFL
come
Network,
on,
it's like
dude.
you're putting friendships here now into a potential situation. But they got to do what they got to do. They got a clip. We're using it. Shout out to NFL Network. They do a lot of great shit. And I also like that guy.
Siciliano.
I actually like Siciliano a lot, but it's just he probably had it in his ear. Somebody probably told him in that whole thing. But this has been alarming to hear. Like, now we don't know how Devontae answered it. We don't know how Devontae answered that. But man, I thought there would be at least be like because you see him with his ukulele, he's singing and everything. There isn't even like a.
There's no pause. He's not hesitant at all to answer that question. It's just Mac. He couldn't say Mac Jones fast enough.
My God. I like Mac too. Yeah.
Well,
we decided. We talked about it. By the way, this has been a conversation all year. We're like, thank God we got this guy. Like that. What if that's how the conversation goes? And if you're Tua, you got money now, right? And you're potentially the quarterback for maybe the first 3 quarters for the Dolphins of every single game next year. It's like, but you're hearing a lot of like your old friends, teammates, college. I mean, that's like a thing just come out. It's kind of fucked up that we're even reporting about it, but we have to. Like, this is a real thing.
Gotta do it.
Well, another wild part about it is, as a freshman, Jalen Waddle had his best year. As a sophomore, he had his second best year. Those were both with Tua, and then this year he played 6 games before he got hurt with Mac Jones. So he played a lot more with Tua than he did with Mac Jones.
Yeah, I had those great years and all that, but
Tua stinks.
that is what it kind of felt like.
Yeah.
In Mac, by the way, or Waddle there, terrible spot. All right, that's a terrible position to be in. Just, that's one of those questions I think somebody who's never been in a locker room would ask, right? And that's a large majority of people. But, I mean, because you're pinning people, friends, teammates, everything against each other, and that's just like wild. But what if Tua had Sarkisian's offense? Okay, but now, granted, would that have helped him going into the NFL? I would assume, but that Sarkisian offense, very NFL-like offense, a lot of motions. There was a lot of people open, and Mac had to read defenses. Listen, I'm not saying they're lying. They like Mac better, Mac's better. I'm just saying this is wild to hear, especially if you're a Dolphins fan, about former teammates that are just like, hey, this guy who only played 1 year of football, who lit it up, is going to probably play in the NFL now with the way everybody's talking about his film and everything like that. There isn't even a pause, it sounds like, for that whole answer. It's a wild time to be a Dolphins fan. Hey, Snowflake got stolen. You guys battled through. Dan Marino, he came and gone.
Yeah.
Now you guys have to deal with teammates of your starting quarterback saying, this guy stinks. And if you remember, we talked to Kyle Van Noy last year whenever he was on the Dolphins. He was on Dolphins for 1 year. And we asked him about Tua. And he said, yeah, Tua's cool and all that, but Fitzmagic. He did that whole thing.
Yeah. That's the other thing, is it's not at this point, it's not just like these Alabama guys saying it. Like, they were all jacked up when Fitz was playing. He's not there next year. What if if they don't trade him and the Dolphins start like 0-6 next year?
Oh my God, Tua.
Not good for Tua.
What about 0-7, maybe
0-8? 0-7, yeah.
0-9. What? What? All the way up to 17 times. There will be a team that will lose 17 games in one regular season, and it'll be the first time ever. What are you going to say, Nick?
Remember we talked to Najee Harris like a week or two ago and kind of referenced him playing with both of them, and he spoke at length about how Max stepped up. Everything in his answer was all about Max stepping up and Max stepping in and taking it. He didn't really mention Tua at all.
Some dopehead in the office said he is. Okay? This guy.
Yeah. Borderline, it's a problem.
This coastal elitist comes over here and just starts. First of all, we only have CBD here, so he's got to bring in his own or whatever. And he might plow through an O a day, this guy.
Oh, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Without remorse.
I've never seen anything like it.
It's unbelievable.
And it's legal where I come from, and I've never seen anything like it.
Hey, pal, come back down to earth sometimes.
Let your feet touch the ground,
He's got his mouth surgically attached to that thing.
Well, while this guy was hovering way above all of us, okay, he said maybe at Alabama with the thought that, and it was a good point by him, so whatever state of mind he was in, like, he got to a good point. Jalen Hurts goes out, Tua gets put in. Then Tua's kind of like just automatically propped up as this young guy freshman. In Alabama, these guys sit for 2-3 years of practice. Like, hey, I got to grind it out against 4 other 5 stars, 3 other first-round draft picks in my position. Maybe it's the way the Tua career at Alabama went, that because you heard him say, we were third stringers together, we had to grind it out. Because that's kind of the Alabama thing. You talked to Najee, we talked to Najee last week. He talked about how he went to Alabama because the competition, who he was practicing against in practice, and you kind of have to earn your way up through there. Maybe it's because Tua, didn't ever have that class really that he had to grind with, because he was dropped immediately into like a senior class, a junior class, and then he kind of got moved up. Maybe that's why there isn't as much of a connection, it feels, alongside his teammates. But man, that is a little bit alarming. This is the classic, did anybody go to his birthday party question?
That's right. That's right. They also maybe just think Tua stinks. Like, hey, we played with him, we made him a lot better, and then now look at him. Yeah, he stinks in the NFL.
Whoa.
We like Mac. Tua stinks.
See, Ty, that's that thing that I would have never thought of, okay? I automatically think that this is off the field related as opposed to on the field related. Because whenever you ask somebody about their teammate, normally your first reaction is going to be an answer about them as a human as opposed to on the field, right? Like, that's the type of thing. And I think if you listen to Waddle's answer, it was more like we grinded it out. Like,
they're friends.
They're
buddies.
And Waddle and Tua had massive success together. It's like, like Pat and Steve, for instance. And I hate talking about this, but I got a chance to experience it and live it or whatever. And I hate going back. There's a lot of success, though. I mean, it was Pat and Steve were inseparable. Okay, you saw one of them, you saw the other one. Now, Darius Reynaud, he started getting it. Like, they were just like, you start seeing, whenever you start creating good chemistry off the field, normally that's when chemistry starts cooking on the field. And that's the X factor that doesn't get measured at the combine, or you can't pay for anything like that. So when you hear these answers about Tua, it makes me start to wonder, like, will that ever be something in Miami that'll be able to come together around him,
The pressure is mounting.
Kid doesn't deserve it, though.
No.
Waddle didn't deserve that question.
No.
Devontae didn't deserve that question. But the answers publicly, Tua doesn't deserve.
No, not at all.
At all. But we have to take these in and learn from them. Joining us now is a lady who works at ESPN who has been basically breaking all of the news.
Yeah.
All of the news. We have referenced her Twitter account at least once a day for the last 3 weeks, probably at this point. She was the only person that had any real information on the J.J. Watt situation. Ladies and gentlemen, former soccer player, now ESPN NFL insider and pundit. Ladies and gentlemen, Dianna Russini. What's up, Dianna?
Guys, oh my goodness, what a welcome. I will come on the show anytime.
That's great news.
You actually had all the news, Pat. I mean, you were getting text messages from that Watt camp there, and I listened and I watched closely to see what JJ was going to say, because you got to always wonder, I'll be very honest, it wasn't JJ telling me what the money was.
Yeah, it was the Cardinals.
To JJ directly, so I'm like, is he going to deny this? Like, what's he going to say? Because it probably works in his favor to say, yeah, this report's right. You know, it's pretty good money.
Well, that's the thing. Whenever you reported that, and it was because there was so much shit flowing. I mean, the J.J. Watt rumor flood that was just coming out was insane. Whenever your tweet came out, J.J. Watt has received several offers from teams. The best offer he has received right now is between 15 and 16 million per year per sources. Shout out your sources, by the way. But we immediately over here was like, that's bullshit. There's no way. There is no way a team offered him 15 to 16 million, because we all thought whenever he was leaving, it was like, okay, he's going to go 3 to 5 million incentive base, go try to get a ring or whatever. When you reported that, everybody was like, there's no way. Hindsight, you're the only person that had any of the accurate information. Whenever you're doing this, and there's about to be a bunch, I guess, with this massacre coming up that you reported, how are you going to balance through what's real and what isn't? And what did you mean by massacre? Is it about to get ugly out here?
Yeah, I'll go through all those questions there, starting with, I watched your reaction to the tweet of JJ's numbers, and I was like, Pat is single-handedly ruining my credibility for like 15 years in the league. I'm trying to keep up with the big boys, and you're up there, you're like, this is horse shit.
No, I apologize. It wasn't you. It wasn't you. It wasn't you. It was the report. It was the sources that I was saying. But
no, and I fully understand that, because you have to figure, right, like, that's a good number for JJ, because I can tell you, talking to the teams that were interested in him, and we were sharing information, that's obviously one of the avenues where I was able to collect a lot of the details of what was going on and able to share some of it. And when I told some teams that number, they thought I was being played too. And, fortunately, if you've been in the league a while and you have these great sources in front offices and with agents, eventually you earn the leeway, and they're kind of like, well, if you feel this good about it, I'm going to believe you. And so I got a lot of texts from different teams that were flirting with JJ, going, damn, you were right, and we sure as hell weren't paying that.
So that's interesting, because that's your. Whenever you said there's been offers from several teams were telling you, like, yeah, we're interested, this is what we're doing. And then Arizona or another team that offered 15, 16, we don't want to give up your sources here. Somebody told you what they actually offered. And then it's interesting because without the combine, without like people being around each other, and we've talked to, I forget who else, Charles Robinson maybe of Yahoo, which is still that's still a website. I don't know, Yahoo Sports is still a website. That is still something that happens. He said that people were like reaching out to him for information on shit because they couldn't really get through. I assume that's kind of how the game is being played right now. There's a lot of people reaching out to you, trying to learn about what's going on elsewhere.
It's the only time of year anyone answers their phone when I call them, because
nice.
During the season, players, coaches, they really don't want to get into it. They don't want to talk game plan. They're focused, they're busy, and most really good teams and successful teams that I'm fortunate to cover like to keep it in-house. So they don't really want to share a lot. But this time of year, you become an ally, because now I can be part of what they're doing in their war room, so to speak, or at least when they're having these conversations, they can say, well, look, I heard. They may not say your name, but at least they're able to get information. That's really what everyone's doing right now. They're all just gathering information. And when we were talking about the massacre yesterday, that was just one head coach. I didn't share all the messages I had yesterday talking to different, coaches and GMs about it. That one just stood out the most. But pretty much everyone is sharing the same sentiment with me, which is like, this is going to be a wild week coming up, because we're going to have to clean up. And most teams are looking at their rosters, Pat, and you know this better than anyone, that they're looking at the veterans, they're seeing who's got that guaranteed money that's dried up and done, and they're going, can we win without them? And if we can, we're gonna cut them.
Okay, so that happens every year, right? And I've told this story where I went to the NFL Network for the first time, and the meeting was, one of the segments was, what's a surprise cut that's going to happen that nobody expects? And you heard like 3 ex-GMs that were in there. They were like, let's see the contract. Can we just look up the contracts real quick? And then they pulled the contracts up on the screen. They're like, that person's getting cut. That person's getting cut. And then lo and behold, as the offseason unfolded, those people were gone. It was like, oh my, I could have never guessed that. You're making it sound like, from the sources you're talking about, because of where the salary cap is, that's potentially going to be 2 to 3x now with that entire thing. And that, now the seismic shift thing that the Cardinals owner said, does that mean now like the Carolina Panthers, the Colts, the Patriots, you're thinking that these teams are going to be doing a lot of like, let's build super teams type situation?
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of that because it's a buyer's market now. And you're going to see a lot of good teams that have the money spend and get pretty good players. Because, most of the teams that I've spoken to who, they won't give me names of the guys they're going to cut, because some teams that I work with, they like to tell the player first, right, before I go running around tweeting about it. But I've asked for a description, like, give me an example of a player on your team and why. And usually it's a veteran, it's a starter, and it's a player who can still play. And that's the difference between this year and I think last year. I had one coach say to me today, he's like, in years past, there's a couple guys on my roster, I'd be like, we can keep them. We can deal with that, million and a half. Now, done, gone, because I need to make room. We don't have the room.
Wow.
And,
kickers and punters are screwed.
A different GM saw me on Get Up this morning, and he just texted me, hey, I'm not giving you any scoop here, but just so you know, most good organizations operate with the mindset of you don't cut a player you can't win without. So keep that in mind as you're digging around. So I just thought that was interesting, and it's true.
Yeah, but there's a lot of bad organizations in the NFL. Yeah. You got to remember that as well. We're talking to Dianna Russini of ESPN. Kyle Van Noy was a shocker. Have you learned anything about why that happened? That took Kyle Rudolph. We had heard that he had been asked to take a pay cut. He wasn't going to do it. Golden Tate, we had heard there's potential, maybe frustrations or $6 million save. That's smart. But the Kyle Van Noy one, still at this point, doesn't make any sense to us. I've texted Kyle Van Noy, tried to go directly to the source. He said, I'll talk to you later about it. I was like, okay, well, have you heard anything? Why did that happen? And that's 1 year into what, a $30 million guaranteed contract right there.
Yeah, I asked around on that, and the only answer I can come up with was that he fell into the formula of what I've been talking about, of just how his contract was set up.
You guys can win without him, huh?
We could barely win with them.
Oh, man. We have the only Dolphin fan that's on a show ever. Gumpy here is from Canada. And as soon as this happened, he was just devastated. Just like, we suck again, basically. That's like,
I saw the heartache, and I get it. And that was a surprise to me. And just like the Cardinals landing JJ, that got me. Like, I wish I could say I was that good at this. I'm not. Like, I had no idea the Cardinals were in on it. And that always happens too. And that's something to keep in mind, Pat, like next week, when you hear these big name free agents on the market, and I'll come on talking to you, and I'll go on ESPN2 saying, Allen Robinson, let's just say, for example, he doesn't get tagged and he hits the market. Washington's in on him. The Jets are in on him. There are always 2 more teams in there that you don't even know about. Always. I learn every year because I don't learn because I still make the mistake.
Yeah, we do as well. Yeah.
But you have to remember that there's some places they just keep it quiet.
Washington does. So it's alleged that the Chicago Bears offered Allen Robinson $16 million. He wants 18. But if the Bears had a quarterback, I assume he'd be much more open to the $16 million money instead of the 18. But Washington, they don't have. Now, I know that was just you're making a hypothetical there. But when you talk about Washington, they don't have a quarterback right now. Are they going with Heineke? That's a really good team. They took Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the limit. Yeah. To the limit in the playoffs. People forget about. Now, that was before the Buccaneers got completely hot or whatever. It was the start of that whole thing. But what are they going to do at quarterback? Everybody says just assuming Cam Newton and Ron Rivera go ahead and do this thing again, or what are you hearing around the world?
So I've always been in the camp of not buying into the Cam Newton back to Washington, or at least to Washington to work with Ron again, because I think Ron really told you how he felt about Cam Newton last season when they were also in a quarterback situation where they needed one. And he didn't even wink at Cam Newton. It was that was like with the clearest report I think we did last year was like, yeah, the Washington football team is not interested in Cam Newton. It was crystal clear. And I don't think that changes. I definitely don't think that changes after what we saw from Cam this year, which, I mean, we saw some good things, but, I would say overall, he's not going to be a quarterback.
Oh, you said he stinks. That's what you just said. You said he stinks? Is that what you said, Dianna?
No, I sound like the kid heckling him at the camp.
17-year-old. You broke. Yeah, he's not broke.
Exactly.
His hat.
Which, by the way, if you've ever gone to a football camp, that stuff happens all the time. I like working camps because I like hearing the. I look. There's tons of lessons that we learned from that, and we can talk about it all day. But I appreciate a kid that can give a little jab once in a while to somebody he probably should be talking to like that. I thought it was funny.
I respect it as well. I wish Cam Newton would have buried him, though, just to see how the kid takes the other side of it as well. You know what I mean? That would have been great.
Totally.
Ty, what do you have?
Dianna, what do you think the Packers are going to do this offseason? I've seen a couple reports that say they might be in on Will Fuller now that Golden Tate's available. Or are they going to be one of those teams that's just screwed because they have so much cap work to do?
Yeah, I spoke to someone in Green Bay today actually about it because I'm trying to get this Aaron Jones scoop. I'm trying to figure out what are you doing?
Nice.
Because I always get the same message from Green Bay, which is we like him. We love him. Obviously, we know Aaron Rodgers loved him, and we saw what the run game did for their offense and how valuable he's become. But I hate leaning on this answer, but this is the truth that, like, the salary, not knowing the salary cap number is really hurting teams. That is the most common thing everyone's complaining about. And you can make the rough estimate of, all right, 180. But I talked to a team recently, and they think it's 185. And that's a big, we're talking a $5 million difference in your planning, which is, going back to the original topic that I'm here chatting with you about, which is the cuts. This is why this stuff is going down, because everyone's trying to get their money straight so once free agency gets here. But going back to Green Bay, Chris Carson is a name I heard buzzing around as an interested. Aaron Jones has to come back. And you can make an argument that they could bolster up their offensive line.
Does Jordan Love like Aaron Jones or?
I don't know.
Who are you talking to?
I don't know. Does Aaron Rodgers like Jordan?
I do. I do believe Aaron does like Jordan. Actually, he says I do believe he said that. Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. Deshaun Watson allegedly Jack Easterby and Cal McNair too busy praying, ain't got time to be on the phones with any other team. Do you think those two are going to remain on their teams? Do you think there's any chance they move from what you've been told by people that know the situation a lot better than us from the outside?
Yeah, it's tough to get solid info out of Houston because you have a GM that comes from the New England way. And
hold on. Does Jack Easterby talk at all? Whenever you reach out to Houston, when you reach out to Houston and you're on the phone or whatever, does Jack Easterby come chaplain walking into that thing and he's saying, "Let me take care of this"? Does he do that? Do you talk directly to Jack Easterby?
Yeah, I don't call. I only FaceTime because I want to see him do that. and I actually make him perform before he gives me any information. I'm like, got a joke for me today? What do you got?
One fish,
no. They've shut it down in Houston. They're obviously trying to get control over the narrative there. But I feel very comfortable sharing that they do not want to trade Deshaun Watson. Nick Caserio has taken calls. There are teams that I've spoken to who have spoken to Nick Caserio. But when they take the conversation into a trade opportunity, even broaching it, it's shut down immediately. This is something the teams that are interested, the tone they're getting is Nick Caserio does not want to be the GM that's coming into Houston and getting rid of, a once in a lifetime type of player that I think we know has so much value. We know Deshaun doesn't want to play there. It's pretty darn clear at this point. But the Texans, they are still married to this. They have not given up on making this work with Deshaun Watson.
How about Russell Wilson? They said three, the alleged, now I don't know who reported it at this point, and if it was you, I apologize. But it is alleged that 3 firsts is the starting offer for Russell Wilson. That would mean that the Seattle Seahawks are entertaining the thought of trading Russell Wilson, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely. It's just as we saw yesterday with Joe Douglas saying you always answer the phone. And I'm always going to be in the belief, Pat, that if you're a good GM, you answer. You take the call, unless it's Patrick Mahomes. right? I think that's probably the only guy you don't answer the phone for.
Aaron Rodgers, probably.
All right, yeah, Aaron Rodgers. Sorry, Aaron.
No, yeah, have a little respect, please. Have a little respect, please, in this whole thing. But Russell Wilson, by the way, I think in some circles would be a guy that you would not answer calls because of. Like in that same tier, if you think about him as a player or whatever, the thought that there is reports that he stormed out of a meeting last year, and then his, who was it, his chef, his body guru, chiropractor, maintenance person,
spiritual advisor,
Sierra,
music video
agent,
coordinator,
costume and music video coordinator, photographer came out. By the way, great photographer. There's been some good shots.
Oh, yeah.
The team of Russell Wilson has come out and said they don't like the way the Seattle Seahawks are handling Russell Wilson. And then the agent talked to Shefty and said, like, Russell has not asked for a trade, but if there is a trade, it's these 4 teams. Is that one of the most interesting ways we can hide somebody's reputation while also saying we're not happy and we want to get out of there that you have ever seen?
I think it's their way of saying we want out.
Yeah.
They're pretty clear.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to give a list of like, hey, I really don't want to cheat on my husband, Kevin, but here's a list of 3 guys that if I'm going to do it,
if you were to call Kevin, and make this arrangement happen, that's basically what they did.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
It's just like the hall pass, you know? But yeah, no, and I think I know it's a real thing where Russell Wilson is not happy there, and his agent is going to deny that they are demanding a trade. And I learned early in my career too, you have to be very careful with the wording of asking for a trade, demanding a trade. I made a mistake with Kirk Cousins years ago where he, was told it wasn't going to be a competition at the quarterback position with Robert Griffin III back then. And he's like, well, I really don't want to be here if it's not a competition, right? Because he wanted a shot. And it came out somehow as a demand. And that crushes a player, right? And his reputation. And Kirk had built such a great one as being such a good player and a good person. And yeah, so the word demand in reference to Russell Wilson, I don't sense that, but I know there's been calls made on both sides going to Seattle and from Seattle to other teams.
Oh, so Seattle shopping. Holy shit.
Okay.
Holy Seattle Seahawks are shopping Russell Wilson right now via Dianna Russini of ESPN. He's demanding that they shop him. What do you have to?
Pounding on the table, get me out of here. It rains too much.
Dianna, you talked about Cesario coming from the New England way. There's reports of Stephon Gilmore trade being imminent, though. Does that mean it's bullshit, or do you think that's actually going to happen?
I think that the New England Patriots have always listened to trade offers for Stephon Gilmore. The number that I reported a few months ago when it was starting to boil up, where I felt like they were going to make the move, was what they were asking for in terms of picks was way too high for a lot of teams. And so it shut down. But now, with the cap issues being what they are, I could see it happening. Absolutely.
Okay, Dianna, we have to go. I assume you do as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Are there any other headlines you'd like me to give you to just absolutely destroy my career?
No, it's going to make your career better.
Just think about it. This is my first appearance. Mm-hmm. I'm reporting that Russell Wilson
is being shot.
Trade.
Yeah.
I'm cheating on
actively.
my new husband with 3 people.
Kevin,
you said the Dolphins stink.
You said the Dolphins do stink.
And I said that the only team that shouldn't answer the phone for
Patrick Mahomes.
is Patrick Mahomes, not Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So, look, I'm not sure I'm ever going to return. But
no, you will.
You'll be back.
It's a great appearance, ladies and gentlemen. Dianna Russini. Yeah. That was awesome. She does seem to know everything at this point, though. She is one of the sources that is like, okay, she's in at this point. What'd she say, 15 years? She said she's been working, and we almost destroyed it just by laughing in her face. I'm happy to hear that the tweet generated that type of reaction from NFL people as well, because our reaction was, there ain't no Dianna.
So we're doubted.
Basically, we're reacting the same way the GMs are, except for the one
Makes
from
sense.
Arizona. All right, we have to get to a break. Stat. I mean, like right now. This is the Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, March 4th. Big thanks to Dianna for joining us. We'll react to all the news that she broke.
Yeah.
And maybe some phone calls, and we'll wrap up hour 1. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
I was told by Del Curry Scottie Pippen struggles on a golf course, right?
Right.
I was told at that thing that I'm going against Scottie Pippen. The next day, match play, heads up, one-on-one Scottie Pippen. So we decide, like, okay, we could probably have a couple drinks, stay at the casino a little bit longer than we should.
Representing the NFL out of the Shoeless Golf Club of America, Pat McAfee. His opponent, representing the NBA, Scottie Pippen.
You know what I mean? This guy's got 6 rings. Yeah. He's a fucking Hall of Famer. But today he's going to play against me. And then I start seeing Scottie hit some shots that are just like starting to come together. And I'm like, wait a fucking minute. I think I was lied to.
We were lied to yesterday. We were told Scottie Pippen was a terrible golfer. Bro, he's Scottie fucking Pippen.
Going in the back 9, I think I was down 1. Like, we were battling. But I started making putts. And Scottie Pippen went ahead and got real hot. I mean, real fucking hot. I was down 3 with 7 left. And I looked right in the camera, and I go,
so we're down 3 with like 7 holes left. Scottie Pippen's about to get this work.
Scottie Pippen from 190 yards out just fucking dunks it. Fucking boom, bang, and then walks up to the green, gets the ball, camera's on him, and he goes, Pippen ain't easy. Kidding me.
All right, down 4 with 6 left after Scottie Pippen just chips in from fucking 400 yards out.
I was fucking demoralized.
Pippen ain't easy.
By the way, best he's ever performed at golf, because I'm around, better teammate than Jordan.
Yep.
People forget. Oh, yeah, I told Dell, I was like, Dell, what the fuck you lying to me? He was like, well, I saw it yesterday. He was not great. And Greg Anthony told me, and I was like, Dell, he buried me, Del Curry. He buried me. He was like, hey, Pippen ain't easy.
Yes, baby, it's time to celebrate.
Talking about a shotgun of beer after he had beat me, obviously. I like teach him how to do it.
Yeah, put a hole in there. It might spread a little bit, so.
Yeah.
So you're going to go here, and then you're going to open and flip up. Does that make sense? Congrats on winning the NBA a couple times, blah, 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 blah. And being an incredible golfer. Right, well, cheers. Hey.
Damn.
Okay,
That's the
Scottie.
best Bud Light I ever had.
Hey, there's no stuck here.
You right.
Shinigami fighting out of Lancaster, California.
Giving the old white guys something to complain about. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Welcome back to that show. It's time to spoil the shit out of your dogs with BarkBox. 2 toys, 2 treats, and a chew. It starts as low as $23 a month for $60 worth of dog chews and toy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's incredible.
I mean, you used to do some quick math. It's like almost $37 savings a month.
Just about.
Well, people are getting like $1,400 and going to retire.
That's a good point.
So think about...
Shout out Daytona 500 winner Mitch McConnell.
One win changes everything.
Think about $37 a month what people are going to do.
No kidding.
Are you shitting?
See ya.
Bro, I saw that. That made its way into my thing. And I fucking thought... NASCAR guy's getting real full of himself.
Daytona changes lives.
Anyways, BarkBox, best day of the month whenever our BarkBox arrives for our dogs because the tails start wagging, nose starts sniffing. My dogs, Valerie and Chuck, know immediately what day the BarkBox is coming because they get much happier. I had to go to the Super Chews because Chuck is a little asshole corgi that tears apart everything, but the treats, the chews, the toys are magical, and right now you join, you can get a free extra toy in every single box for the rest of the year, which is $60 worth of toys for free. So you take the $37 a month.
Yeah, right.
Okay, you add that $60 worth of toys for free. You start doing the math there. You're making more money than retirement money.
Just about.
If you measure that up to Mitch McConnell.
Buy an island in Hawaii with it.
You need to go to barkbox.com/Pat. BARKBOX.com/Pat. Unique toys, USA made treats, free monthly delivery, and $60 in free extra toys this year. Awesome. It is awesome.
Oh yeah. Love BarkBox.
It's the membership monthly thing, but for your animals. You know, we've all kind of got hooked up into these monthly boxes, so they just kind of do the thinking for you. You know, you have all these different boxes. The clothes box finds new clothes that you never. There's the bespoke one we had for a while there.
Yep.
We'll find new gimmicks and Brookstone shit that you will never have that we'll just bring into your life. We'll do that. This one is just like, oh, I don't have to remember to go to PetSmart, Petco, or anything like that. It actually just shows up at the house, and I don't have to do anything for $23 a month. 100% worth it. Very thankful for BarkBox. BarkBox.com/Pat. Dianna Russini broke the news that the Seahawks are shopping Russell Wilson.
Yeah, actively right now.
Listen, we didn't say it.
No,
we don't have any of those sources.
I
mean that.
She did say that.
She did say that.
Yeah.
They've been making calls. That's what she said.
Is she calling Miami? Are they calling Miami? I wonder. Is Miami in the
Are they
Russell
on the
Wilson
list?
game?
Oh, cut half the offense to get Russell in.
The Russell Wilson thing is interesting. Will he go anywhere? Everybody assumes no because he's so damn good at football. The Deshaun Watson thing, we talked to her. Basically, she said Houston's not answering any calls, but at some point, it feels like Deshaun Watson's okay with missing the entire season. Jalen Ramsey said on a podcast.
Stephen Weish.
Steve Weish, NFL Network, great man, by the way. He was actually in that meeting that I was in that I talk about with the GMs just looking at the contract saying he's always been very nice to me. His podcast, Jalen Ramsey basically said he doesn't see how Deshaun's ever in a Texans uniform again. And then it's coming out that Deshaun had a front row seat for Jalen Ramsey's exit from Jacksonville. They have the same age at David Mulugeta. Ramsey says he highly doubts that Watson will ever wear a Texans uniform again. Let's assume that he knows the behind the scenes that's going on right now in the business side of it. We have a poll right now that says, will Deshaun Watson ever play for the Texans again? Yes is at 14%. No, 86%.
Damn.
36,000 votes. This coming after information that has said that they're not even answering calls and do not want to trade. Everybody's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's not their decision. He just won't play. 36,000 votes is a lot of votes. 86% of them are saying he does not play for the Texans ever again. If you're a Houston Texans fan, how do you feel? Do you want to move on and get past this whole thing? Or do you know that you're potentially losing a guy, and that could be a bit frustrating?
If I know, like most fans, and we went through this with AB and Lev in Pittsburgh, like, yeah, they are incredible players, but you reach a point as a fan where, like, all right, I'm tired of dealing with this. I'm tired of hearing about this. Even though we know we're much better with these players, like, let's just end this and move on.
It feels like that's potentially how the Houston fans are reacting on my Twitter account, but it seems like they're going to have to deal with Deshaun potentially being our quarterback in the Houston Texans' eyes, and in Deshaun's eyes not having it. This is a wild scene right now down there in Houston.
Also, if you see that Russell Wilson's available, like, why wouldn't you want them to trade him to Miami right now and potentially get those 4 draft picks that you don't have? That's better than him just deciding he's never going to play again, sit out, like, get rid of him and get some value to get your team
Deshaun
back.
you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The quarterback carousel. Every year we got it now. Every year there's more quarterbacks out there.
It's awesome. Awesome.
It's the best.
That's why if you're a Mac Jones and you only had one good year in college or whatever, because that was the only opportunity, and all your teammates are coming out and saying, this is a guy, this is a guy, that's good news. Because a lot of this is the guys are going to get left behind because of the amount of quarterbacks that are going to be available going forward. There's a lot of talent at that position. There's only 32 jobs, though. Somebody's going to get left out. Some team's going to make the wrong decision. Numerous teams are going to make the wrong decision. Somebody's going to get it right, though. Who will it be? Where will they end up? What franchises will change dramatically over the next 10 days because the salary cap and COVID-19 have wrecked all future plans of contracts? We'll cover it. We'll talk about it. Hour one's wrapping up. By the way, I did watch Shaq last night.
What'd you think?
Shaq killed it. Absolutely killed it.
that table. When
that
thing
table bump had to
exploded.
hurt so bad. Hour two's on the other side. We'll answer some phone calls. Cheers. Been up since 5:30 a.m. right now. Had incredible meetings with the Memphis coaches and the Navy offensive coordinator. I recorded a podcast too. I mean, we got nothing but time. Nice dinner for Hasselbeck's birthday. This is my fault. I might be sleeping in the truck.
It never ends, dude. I honestly don't know how it happens. You have a room? Yeah, it's a big room. You have a good room? It's nice. Take care of the boys. You know what I mean? I'll sleep on the street out here. I'll go busking with a guitar like I'm the next fucking Elvis. You know what I mean? I'll earn my way. This does seem to always happen. Are these couches available? That's my pillow too. I'm gonna need it because I'm gonna be sleeping on a fucking bench. I'll go to the bathroom and brush my teeth.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
No big deal. Just walking the streets of Memphis with my sack here and my pillow.
Walking in Memphis with no room to sleep in tonight. Walking in Memphis. Right now I could fall asleep, but I fight. Walking in Memphis. Instagram models posing on stairs. Walking in Memphis. A couple methods right over there.
My last hotel didn't have a room for me.
Baby, we have a room for you. Come on.
Hold up.
Do they set up a room for you already? I found you, baby. I got you. I got you. I got you today.
Appreciate that. Once again, it's hour 14.
Y'all take care of Patrick, all right?
Boys! Huh? King of the castle. Look, a view of the pool. All right, so now I gotta go to a production dinner and then record a podcast. Let's go ahead and do this. It's going, dude. I mean, honestly, today's tomorrow. Tomorrow was yesterday. You know, it just all kind of runs together. It's kind of a long walk.
Yeah, it's a palace.
This is not too bad. We're going all night long. I love Hawaii, man. Every time I go there, now granted, you make a Pro Bowl, you think you're going to Hawaii. Instead, we went to the desert in Arizona. And then the next time I made a Pro Bowl, it was in Orlando. I was like, I'm out. I mean, come on.
Were you the first group that they stopped doing Hawaii?
Yeah, I think it was like first or second group, of course. Of course. Worked my entire life to get there. I mean, it's an honor. It wasn't, though. I completely understand why guys don't go. It's like Tom Brady sitting out for another Pro Bowl. He's like, yeah, he doesn't want to drive 3 hours into the desert right now to go practice.
He go wherever he wants.
Yeah, and then the games, they need to make it just a bunch of competitions. They need to make it a bunch of contests, like the 40, everything like that. The bench, bring back the bench for the offensive linemen. Get an eating contest in there. Get the kickers to do a kicking contest. Get the punters to do a punting contest. Have that quarterback challenge that I watched on NFL Network just a couple months ago. Have that happen again for the long ball. You get Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes in there. You get Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers throwing maybe on an accuracy challenge. I like the little games that they set up for the quarterbacks. By the way, I would have went to the one in Orlando. I actually said I would go if they would have let me compete in the quarterback little carnival thing they had. And they told me no. And I was like, well, I'm not going.
Who makes that decision, the NFL?
Yeah, I got an actual letter that said no. And I was like, well, I retire and I'm not coming.
We regret to inform you that you are not allowed to participate in the quarterback
I think I would do well in that thing, by the way. I think I would do very well in it. Everything is like right in my range. Like the deep ball, I think, is like 40 yards. For me, that's that's my actual flick of the wrist. Like, you know how you watch those Dude Perfect videos?
Oh, yeah.
And it takes them, I don't know, who knows how many
thousands.
I mean, I'm not going to judge them. A lot of other people do. People say it takes them 4,000 attempts. But if you throw the ball as far as you can and it lands, then you just put a trash can there. You're like, all right, I'm just got to throw this as hard as I can again. And then it's like science is basically making you hit that.
Great way to do it.
In that particular quarterback carnival that they do, everything is right in my wheelhouse. Like I was built for it. And I told Conte, the Colts PR guy, I had a dislocated kneecap at the time. I was supposed to get surgery. He was like, are you going to play in the Pro Bowl? Because I had like a $250,000 bonus on the Pro Bowl or not. I was like, I made the Pro Bowl. I should get my bonus. And he was like, well, technically in your contract, it says you have to play in the Pro Bowl. I'm like, am I allowed to do that quarterback challenge? They're like, no. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. Jim Irsay still paid me, by the way.
What a guy.
As he should. Good dude.
Yeah, as he should, by the way. No, I don't think he should. Because the contract technically said, like, people say billionaires stay billionaires because they're stingy with their money. He could have not paid me. He chose to pay me. Good guy. That's why I think the Detroit Lions just hated Calvin Johnson.
The Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about. Yes,
Speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Orale cabrones! Welcome back to Hour 2 here on this Thursday, March 4th, 2021, years after zero. Hour 2 begins right now. First hour, got a chance to chat about all the bullshit happening in the sports world. Talked about Draymond Green getting the ball in crunch time instead of Stephon Curry and running a Usain Bolt sprint right into Damian Lillard's chest and getting a charge call, in making the Foxy lock of the night go from an incredible 7-16 to a 7-17. Speaking of Fade Foxy, which is at 17-7 over the last 24 nights, is currently a super boost at FanDuel Sportsbook. You can continue to ride the Fade Foxy train and make money and profit off of the worst gambler in the history of gambling at a boosted odds rate, because FanDuel enjoys watching me and Evan Fox fail. I've lost a lot of money because of this Evan Fox guy. I've also made a lot of money because of this Evan Fox guy. So I'm kind of torn. I'm riding with him. Us riding together has been a very profitable operation for everybody else. You can get in on that tonight only at FanDuel Sportsbook. All the NFL news. Dianna Russini broke some news on the show. The Seahawks have been shopping Russell Wilson.
Yep.
I don't know if that's real or not, by the way.
Well, I mean, she did make like the crisscross with the
That
fingers.
phone
Like
call.
they have both made calls.
Diggs has something to say. Is it an update on this particular thing? Or
No, there is breaking news on an NFL quarterback, though.
Okay, hold on. I'd like to play a game. Who is it? All right. Who is it? An NFL quarterback. Okay, so not a high-level quarterback, obviously. He's superstar quarterback, he would have said. So it's an NFL quarterback. So this is Ben Roethlisberger, it sounds like. With the whoa there. What did Ben restructured his contract? What is it worth now?
From the Steelers 2 minutes ago, we have signed quarterback Ben Roethlisberger to a new contract for 2021.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Everybody was talking. Will Ben Roethlisberger be back next year? Pouncey retired. They had that moment on the sideline. Juju's a free agent. Last year, after Tommy yawned, everybody knew Ben wanted to come back after the year they had. Did he have anything left? Did the team want to move on in a different direction? Art Rooney the second? Yeah?
Yeah.
Deuce said that they... Do his friends call him Deuce?
Yeah, Deuce Rooney.
Deuce. The owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, he came out with an entire quote after Ben Roethlisberger's agent said that the Steelers wanted to get the deal done. Ben wanted to get the deal done. Deuce came out and said that we think that he can help us win a championship. Everybody was like, well, they didn't make it happen yet because the business hasn't been handled. The business hasn't been handled. Now the business has been handled. Ben Roethlisberger's coming back. New offense coordinator, potentially new weapons, salary cap influx. One more year. Let's give it a go. Maybe we can get past the 11-0 run that we had this past season and give it a go. All signs are pointing to this seems to be a year where they're potentially just kind of, let's go for it, but we'll see. And then inevitably a rebuild's going to have to happen. They signed Dwayne Haskins.
Yep.
They still got Mason Rudolph there.
Got him.
You got Ben Roethlisberger now for one more year. Diehard Steelers fan. COVID Cowboy Tone Diggs, what's your thoughts?
I'm super excited. As I've said in the past, I still think that Ben is good enough to potentially get it done and win one more for 7 for 7, one more year, as opposed to having to go into what other franchises have done, say the New England Patriots, where they got rid of their Hall of Fame quarterback, best quarterback of all time, and then had Cam Newton throw 4 touchdowns in an entire NFL season. 6 touchdowns in an entire NFL season. Do not have to worry about that yet.
It was 6 going into like week 15 or 16. There.
Maybe Dewey Haskins gets a year under Ben and maybe learns some things.
Well, because old Ben, I think, pre-Jesus Christ, he and Dewey probably...
He wouldn't have spoken to him.
No.
No, they would have been.
They would have been
out on the tab.
You're saying their personalities lined up.
Yeah, I'm saying pre-Jesus Christ with Ben Roethlisberger's life. From the photos I've seen and the stories I've heard from the same bars that I used to frequent, Ben Roethlisberger and Dwayne Haskins would have a great time together.
Treated like a champion today.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of, there's a lot of stories there. But whenever you talk about being a guy who's been there, done that with what Dwayne Haskins has done, okay? And now Dwayne's getting a second opportunity, getting another chance with a lot of talent. Maybe Ben is like the perfect guy for Dwayne Haskins to maybe follow in his footsteps and learn from. Now, will Dwayne Haskins go as far into the other side of the living like Ben Roethlisberger has and been his testimony and everything like that? I'm not sure, but I do think Ben Roethlisberger potentially very good person for Dwayne Haskins to learn from, just strictly off of the photos that I've seen of both of them outside of the football field in those ages. Very similar, very similar. Now, I'm not saying Dwayne has ever been accused of anything that Ben Roethlisberger was accused of, which is, terrible. Shouldn't be in the league, whatever. If any of that was, which I'm not getting into that entire conversation, but Dwayne Haskins' photo of him with cheeks, Roethlisberger, there's plenty of photos in Pittsburgh of him out and about. Maybe this is a perfect situation for the Steelers going forward to get Dwayne Haskins long-term, Ben Roethlisberger for one more
I'll be
year.
very excited to see what the numbers are. Hopefully it's that $27 million number that is the lowest that it could possibly go for Ben this year, which clears $14 million in cap, which puts the Steelers right at the cap number, projected cap number going forward.
Which means probably one more cut, right?
Yeah, or they still got to rework to it. They still got to rework a couple other guys.
Hey guys, you all are getting fucked, by the way.
Yeah, let's push the money out.
Yeah, you know how this business operates. We make money, everything's good. We don't make as much money, everything's changing. And that's kind of what this is right now. Will Lutz, unbelievable kicker. Mm-hmm. You want to be a Saint? I think I've earned it, right? I've done a lot. Do you want to remain one? You're going to go ahead and shave off a few $1 million a year, aren't you, just to remain here? COVID came in. It's like, you're a bazillion-dollar business. Well, our salary cap, though, doesn't say that we're going to have to cut you if you don't take the pay cut. That's the situation it is right now, which is very interesting, but it's just the way the world is. A lot of people have taken a lot of cuts because of old Uncle COVID. Now it's hitting to the players. Ben Roethlisberger takes off $14 million. Other players are going to take off, and there's going to be some players that say, nah, I ain't doing it. And that's why the massacre that Russini was referring to in her tweet is what next week is going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, because I believe the Packers are in a very similar situation that the Steelers are. Like, they need to do a bunch of stuff to get underneath the cap before they can actually go out and actually get anyone. But they rework Rodgers' contract, maybe give him a little more stability, and I don't know. I mean, maybe they get a couple guys that they need.
Bro Chacho in the YouTube comments just said, "This is boring. Move on."
Sure.
I don't know if that was his name. It was kind of flying by pretty quickly, but I do think that this was an inevitability. It's not really breaking news, right? We all kind of assumed this was going to happen. Yeah. This is just officially Ben Roethlisberger is now back.
It's never official until it's official.
Well, business side, things can get a little bit hairy. You know what I mean? Because whenever you talk business, people are like, "Oh, it's the business side." Keep your personal relation or your personal feelings out of the business negotiation. I'm going to tell you, it's very hard whenever you are the person being negotiated over, because not only is it the number that you're looking at and they're placing value on it, it's also like a respect thing. Like, do you appreciate what I'm bringing? Now, Ben Roethlisberger is very open with the fact that he would renegotiate and everything like that. I think he's very past that whole thing. But with a lot of these players, whatever next week they're either asked to take a pay cut or move on or whatever, it's going to be for them a respect thing. Like, do you not respect would I have done? Do you think that is the case? And so whenever you hear inevitably that he refused a pay cut, I assume there's a potential personal feeling that's happening, even though people say keep your personal feelings out of it. It's like, it's hard to do that. I understand you watch Shark Tank or you read a business book and they're like, you have to be able to separate the two. In real life, in reality, it is very difficult to separate the two when somebody's like, oh, you fucking stink, don't you? I mean, it's like, oh, okay. So is that... No, I'm talking about you as a player, not you as a person.
Well, don't make it personal.
Well, it sure sounds, you know what I mean? Like it's a very difficult thing to do. I had a full conversation with Chuck Pagano while we were going to Japan about that, you know? And I opened up to him. That was going to be, because I was going to retire before that trip. That was immediately after I just did a stand-up tour. We sold like 10,000 tickets in 20-some minutes or whatever and had a blast. Hey, Nick, that stand-up tour was a good time. We went to 4 cities here in Indiana, 10,000 tickets, 4 nights in a row. It was in an RV, it was a fucking blast out there.
And we stayed in that creepy haunted Airbnb or bed and breakfast, whatever it was at the time.
Yeah, it was a bed and breakfast. It was haunted. Yeah, that was one of those ones where nobody's ever slept in a room you've been before. Can't believe you made it. It was like, well, I took 2 Ambien. So that could have been doing whatever with me. But whenever I was going to retire after that, I was like, I was okay with everything, had the foundation going, took care of everybody at that point. And I was going to use the USO trip basically as a time to tell Chuck, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And then in my conversation, learning about Chuck, I was like, oh, I love this dude or whatever. We laid down some potential boundaries going forward on what I think would work, and he was completely cool with it. And then as soon as those changed, it all, you know, everything kind of went backwards on it. But when I was talking to him, I was like, you know, it's very difficult. I've always wanted to be a businessman. I always looked up to the business people, the people that are hustling. I mean, I had a cigarette sales operation going on in 5th grade. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I respect the business stuff. And all you ever hear is like, hey, it's not personal, it's business. It's not personal, it's business. And I was like, every time I've gone through a negotiation in this particular place, I'm going to be it is very difficult for me to separate the personal feelings from the business feelings here, especially whenever I'm being talked about, and that's things that aren't true by somebody that I don't necessarily like either. So it's been very difficult. And I think that happens much more often than people would expect, because all you ever hear is keep it out of there. I think that's a very difficult thing to do, especially in today's world.
Do you think it'd be easier if you're a player like on the Saints, who they've already done all this work and they're still like $65 million over the cap? So like more guys kind of know going in. It's like, hey, well, if we do want to stay together, like a lot of us are going to be taking pay cuts.
Yeah, and I would assume this conversation was happening during the year as well. Although they weren't allowed to eat together during the day, I would assume at team hotels when there's a little bit of downtime, there might be a little bit of like, hey, there's this salary cap. What's good? The guys are educated enough to know, like, you know what I mean? People always say the agents do the business and everything. Like, even more so nowadays, like the guys are very, very, now I'm not saying everybody. There's obviously guys that are like, oh, I let everybody else do that. But this conversation, I would assume around a lot of organizations has already happened and taken place, especially the ones that have so much over the cap. Even if it was to go up how it was supposed to go up, if there wasn't an Uncle COVID that came through and ruined everything, there was plenty of teams that were fucked then. Yeah. Now that this whole thing happened, I would assume that the guys knew that this was going to happen, and I would assume a lot of guys would want to keep it together. But when you're talking about a potential bad team that's coming to you to ask you to do it, it's like, man, you're wanting me to get paid. I'm the only person that shows up here and work. Like, depending on the situation, you could see why that is. Why the massacre is going to, there's a lot of pay cuts probably being asked. And at the Saints or these other teams that are good and everything like that, I would assume a lot of guys are going to be like, yeah, but don't be shocked when a guy's like, I am not doing that for you. That is not happening. Fuck you. And it's like, oh, you're gone. Okay, thank God. I'm going to Tampa.
Right, yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see who gets rich off of this whole thing, because the Carolina Panthers have money. Colts have money. Can you put that tweet up? Panthers have money. Colts have money. Patriots have money.
Jacksonville
has the most and the number 1 overall pick. The Jets have 70-some million. Colts 70-some million. Patriots 50 million. Broncos 44. Bengals, they'll spend that. They got $38 million. They'll spend that. Washington football team, they need a quarterback. They got 30-some. Dolphins 30-some. Yeah, okay, so there's going to be a lot of players in this game. There's going to be a lot of people making some big time. Where's Golden Tate head to? Immediately upon a wide receiver being available, especially a slot receiver, Ty goes, well, I'll get him to the Packers. That's immediately what Ty said. My immediate thought was, let's get him to the Colts. Like, hey, we need some sort of weapon. There's a lot of that's about to pop off over the next week or so, and I'm pumped for it.
Especially with a guy like him, I think the reason I say that is because I've seen a bunch of stuff saying because the Packers almost traded for Will Fuller at the trade deadline but I think he's due to, he wanted a lot of money. If you can get a guy like Golden Tate for, relatively cheap in these times, I think he's still got some good football left in him.
Let's go to some phone calls here. John in Illinois. What's going on, John?
Pat, boys, how we doing today?
Hey, not too shabby, John. What do you want to talk about?
Hey, so I was reading an article from the Arrow, Tom Pelissero, and he was talking about how the NFL can't make it mandatory for players to get vaccinated. So I was wondering if you think that's going to become an issue in locker rooms if there's players who aren't willing to go get vaccinated, but we got to move a game to Wednesday because this team had an outbreak, or does Fauci over there in the back assume that won't happen by the fall?
Well, I appreciate that question, John. I don't know much about the vaccination world, but I do know that the vaccination isn't going to guarantee you're not going to get COVID, right? Because there's other variants or strains and all that shit. Isn't that kind of how it's going?
Yeah, you can still get it, but I guess the vaccine will lower the severity of the symptoms that you are going to get.
But if somebody has COVID after the vaccine with the lower symptoms, that's still going to cause a COVID protocol break in this whole thing. So John's question is, if people are against getting vaccinated in the NFL and they inevitably become the problem for why it is, I think people who get vaccinated can still get COVID, right? It just doesn't necessarily, I don't know. And what's going to happen next month, John? No, like by the time the NFL season comes around, we could be in a very new world we might have 3 vaccines. There might be 4 vaccines. We might do that whole thing. But I do believe that your astute view of the NFL locker room potentially having some disagreements on people's views about a vaccination is a very solid view. I would assume this past season, there was a lot of conversations about how things were being handled. And by the way, that's what makes football like the greatest of all time. That's what makes the locker room something that I wish our society could bottle and drink somehow, because you have people from so many different backgrounds. We're talking about the most diversity of any sport in the history of sports coming into one locker room together to fight for a common goal, common belief. And with that happening, whenever you have so many different people coming from different places making such a variant amount of cash and different worries and families and everything like that, you can see how there's probably different political views within a locker room. With the vaccine and COVID and everything, that got so political so quickly. I would assume that there was healthy dialogue amongst teammates, but that dialogue, by the way, the reason why a locker room is awesome, happens, it's open, respectful, and then move on. I would assume the vaccination thing, if it does become an issue within the locker room, same type of situation. There'll be a conversation, hey, let's learn a little bit, or agree to disagree and move forward. That is how everything is handled in the locker room, and that's why the locker room is an absolutely beautiful place, to be honest with you.
Full stadiums next season.
Well, so I thought about
Full
that.
stadiums next
So I
season.
thought about that, COVID cowboy. Because yesterday, how you doing? Keep moving. Texas said to COVID.
Yeah.
That's what they said. They said, hey, COVID, how you doing? You had your time. Go to some other state.
Keep moving.
They're opening 100%.
Yeah.
Okay,
No
so,
masks.
So Texas, no mask mandate, opening up 100%. All right? And depending upon which Twitter reply you read from doctors, actual doctors, okay? So depending upon which Twitter reply you read to the announcement of the state being open is, a vastly different reaction to this rule being made, right? Depending upon which doctor's tweet you read to that one. Now, so nobody can believe, everything's bullshit now at this point, but you can't believe anything. If they're just going to open everything up down there, so that means Cowboys will be able to have full stadium there. The Houston Texans, even though they won't potentially have a team, they can sell out that whole stadium. And will other sports, they'll be able to do that? Nobody else will be able to? That is a very interesting situation. And if you got to look into other things, like for instance, while I was watching Shaq last night, while I was watching NXT last night, you got to think to yourself, if they can get a full fucking arena or something like that in Texas as of next week, I would assume there's going to be a lot of things moving to Texas. Now, once again, depending upon which doctor you read, that'll be a good thing or an absolutely catastrophic wipe out an entire state thing. That is all TBD to watch from outside. But it does seem like Texas is going to have quite an advantage with home field advantage and everything like that much sooner than anybody else. What's that, Zeke?
Oh, you don't want to be the first person to have this like open event, though.
No,
right?
I think there's some people that do at this point. I do believe there are some people now that are very much like, I would like to be the one that defeated COVID.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it was like Dana White when he said UFC keeps fucking going. We'll keep going.
We're dancing around this right now. We can just say the man's name. Vince McMahon.
Yeah, 100%.
Vince McMahon with WrestleMania, I mean, the whole thing coming up now. Let's assume that Vince McMahon is very okay with being I'll be the first, I'll be the last. Like, let's assume that Vince McMahon's okay with being the first person that has an entirely fully capacitated arena or stadium or whatever. That's just a guess. And he's one of those guys who'd be very okay with doing it. You're right, though. Dana's another guy who would be very okay with being the person. There are some, and then there's others that are like, okay, we'll let them go ahead and we'll kind of watch what they do. Okay, this is where they went wrong. All right, so we should have some seats in between people, I guess. But that maybe, so there's two different people. You know what I mean? I think that is that's interesting to watch as we go forward, by the way. That's like the next thing I'm kind of pumped about. Now, the massacre's happening, the rosters.
Right.
Okay. Then we got the draft and everything coming up. But boy, this next month or 2 months, watching because Joe Rogan's down there. He does shows with Ron White, Chappelle, Rogan, and them. Yep. I can't wait to see the theaters that they're doing, how that looks. That roar, by the way, of a group of people together. And then the next day or in the day after that, immediately following what happened to said crowd. You know what I mean? Is that the last time we've seen those 3,800, 4,800, 6,000, 10,000 people laughing at Chappelle, Rogan? That's all about to happen down in Texas.
It's impossible to forecast, but don't you think the NFL, if things aren't completely wide open, they'll set like a mandate where stadiums can't be, or it'd be like 75% capacity?
This year it was all local.
True.
It was all the local laws. Whatever
they can't touch it. It's all just dependent on
Well,
the
they
states.
could. They could, but
they
they
regulate
like how the NCAA is doing right now with.
Yeah, the NFL could have said because of advantage.
State could still say yes, and the NFL could still say no.
Yeah, the NFL could have said no because, by the way, very interesting how they pick and choose which laws they do this to. They don't do it to the marijuana laws, by the way. The local authorities will be able to regulate that, but they do it to the ticket capacity. Very interesting. Very interesting.
And they kicked the
Happy I
Niners.
just put that together because it is the United States of Goodell whenever you're in the NFL, okay? And that was kind of the big thing whenever I was like, hey, you're going to get a lot of team players that want to go to Denver, like when Denver was the first one. My immediate thought was, okay, that's Mile High, and something I do on a very regular basis is now legal over there. If there was ever a place I would think about going outside of Indianapolis, it would have been Denver at the time. And then I was immediately told by Vinatieri, like, you think the NFL gives a single fuck about Denver? And I was like, you're right. You're 100% right. And then with the ticket thing, because of the home field advantage, the NFL was like, yeah, you're allowed to do whatever the local authorities say. So I'm not sure they'll do that strictly because you'll get pissed off billionaires that can make money. And it's not our fault that other states can't do it. So that's why they won't do that. But if people start... What happened? Like they said, the Super Bowl was not a super spreader event.
Nope,
okay?
only 53 cases, and they said those cases probably came from restaurants, bars, and everything else in the area that were operating at.
And that's what I would say as well if I was the host of an event. And 50, I do believe it was from across the street or whatever. But this whole rolling back into live event is going to be fascinating because I was watching last night on the nightly news right before I got in there and. Fought Duke Lefty.
Duke Lefty.
Yeah, well, no, his name's Duke. I fought Lefty. I'm going. Duke Lefty, pretty good name.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all the way lefty. I'm all the way back. I'm almost to the end lefty or whatever. I feel like I'm a pretty big fucking machine in there. Just not in real life, but if there's no chance of me actually getting punched in the face, I mean, I threw 230 punches in a round and a half. I mean, do the math. I literally looked at that and I started doing the math. I'm like, how is that even possible? Am I even, because I feel like I'm playing defense sometimes, and then that must just be followed up. Bang, bang, pow, 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 pow. Bang, 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 that whole thing. But I was watching nightly news. there's a bunch of anxiety now for people to go back into public. Like, this is now we have to deal with the mental effects of what's happening from being away from people for so long, now being back around people for so long. And, especially with the world that we live in, with the wokeness of, in the real life learning of mental health and how much it is and how much it affects people. Now we got to deal with that whole thing as well. We're in a fascinating time to be alive. Sports-wise, world-wise, event-wise. I mean, it is very, very fascinating right now how it all work out. Ty, would you go back into a crowd right now?
Yeah, probably. I mean, not like a big one, but, I also, like, if given the opportunity, I'll get vaccinated. Like, if that's like a get-out-of-jail-free card, fuck it, let's do it. If I don't have to wear my mask down here because I'm vaccinated, sounds good.
Yeah, but then, we're probably going to, it's probably going to be a seesaw, for the next 7-8 months, probably. Some people will open up, and then there'll be a backlash, like, did you see what happened? And then they'll be like, nope, actually, nothing. And then this, and it's just going to be maybe for the rest of time?
It all goes back to the denominator.
Well, that's what these people are saying. That's what I was talking about whenever, these people do it, and then this, and then that's the actually crowd. You know what I mean? Well, actually. And then that's the whole, you know what I mean? So it's like let's get to a phone. No, let's go to Warren Sharp right now. Let's do Warren Sharp right now. I'm excited to talk to Sharp Football, Sharp Analytics. I don't think he knows anything about what we're talking about currently.
He might have some analytics.
Well, he probably does, actually. But the thing, the next week Masker thing, I'm pumped to hear his, who's he think? Does he have a breakdown of who he thinks are potentially some names that are coming? Because he's the person, you listen to what Dianna said that her source told her about it. It was basically like, hey, we're looking at our every contract. Can we win without it? He probably has Anna. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, a man who has a glorious mustache, a great Twitter account, an incredible website, in a way to break down analytics, except for one tweet he put out that even the dumbest of people can understand. Ladies and gentlemen, Warren Sharp.
Thank you, sir.
What were you doing putting that graph? What was that?
The purpose of that is not to actually be able to adjust everything. It's just really quickly, holy shit, look at what all these teams are doing. And you can get a little bit of general scope as to which teams are spending a lot versus a little, but you do have to pinch and zoom. You're not going to be able to see it unless you pinch and zoom on that one, my friend.
Warren, I felt like you slapped my intelligence right in the mouth when you tweeted that.
What did you think about? There you go. There's this on the screen for everybody who's watching at home. But did you like the next one, the pie chart?
Yes.
To simplify it.
The pie chart, by the way, I think we have that as well. That was the thing that really saved the entire day, because it does say, like, hey, here's the people who win, or here's the people that lose that spend money, and then here's the small slither of apple pie or whatever it may be. Do teams that overspend in free agency win games? No, but in yellow, you said the entire thing. And the overspend is interesting because who judges that? And also, do you go deeper into it where you think to yourself, like, this team had to spend in free agency because their team stunk to begin with? You know what I mean? Like, do you get that deep into analytics? Because
yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Okay, so let's pretend that there's a really smart owner out there that says, you know what? I want to take Pat away from radio. I want him and the boys to come run my football team. I want him and the boys to figure out what we're going to do in free agency. If you guys went into that meeting room and decided what to do in free agency, and you had a losing team, that's the reason they brought you in, because the team had a losing record. If you guys went out and said, we're going to spend top 10 free agency, we're going to bring in a lot of people, and we're going to try to move from a losing team to a winning team in just one season, you will have less of a chance of moving from a losing team to a winning team by spending top 10 free agency dollars than if you did not do that. So it is, I mean, factually, although the NFL tries to be equitable and tries to give the worst team the best draft pick and tries to say, well, if you lose players in free agency, we'll give you extra draft picks in the form of compensatory picks. Even despite all of that, it's hard to turn a losing team into a winning team. It's even more difficult when you spend top 10 free agency dollars. And there's obvious reasons why that would be.
Yeah, and there's only probably 2 or 3 GMs in the NFL that could draft their way into winning. Also, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but missing on free agency seems to happen on a regular basis for bad teams, and it works for good teams because the players are normally willing to take a little bit less cash to go play for that team in lieu of winning. With that being said, Dianna Russini tweeted that she was talking to an NFL head coach, and next week is going to be a massacre, she said, basically, with the salary cap it is. Have you got a chance to look at all these contracts and see who are some potential names that are going to come out? Or have you looked into this at all? Because this has been very fascinating. Kyle Van Noy, Kyle Rudolph, Golden Tate already gone. Next week it's supposed to get even worse. Nobody has a clue what the salary cap is going to be. What are your thoughts on it?
So I have some thoughts, not on specific names. I don't want to throw anybody out there who hasn't been let go. We don't know what the status is going to be. But what we do know is the salary cap has risen over the last several seasons. And so prior to the pandemic, we would have assumed with new TV deals on the horizon that the salary cap will continue to rise, but it did not, obviously. And so teams have less to work with this offseason. And you are going to see, in my estimation, exactly what Dianna said. We're going to see a lot of guys getting cut. And what we're also going to see is a lot of those players who were unlikely to do this in the past are going to be very likely to take short-term one-year deals because they want to hit free agency again next season when potentially teams have a lot more money to spend in free agency at that point in time. And as a result of that, you're going to have a lot of very savvy GMs with the potential to turn their team's fortunes for 2021 very quickly by spending intelligently. And looking back, teams have been able to do that over the last 4 years to begin with. The last 4 Super Bowl champions were able to build their Super Bowl winning roster by dabbling in free agency, but spending less than the NFL average team was doing in free agency, but still acquire critical talent. If you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, you could say this team bought their way to a Super Bowl. They brought Tom Brady in via free agency and all these other guys via free agency. The fact of the matter is, of the 15 unrestricted free agents that they signed, the only one that they signed to a multiple year deal was Tom Brady. All other 14 guys took 1 year team-friendly deals. And we saw the same thing happen when the Philadelphia Eagles went to the Super Bowl and won in 2017 and beat Brady's Patriots. We saw them go out and get Nick Foles and give him backup quarterback money. He obviously ends up winning the Super Bowl himself as the quarterback, but he was a free agent in the 2017 season. And a lot of other guys like Alshon Jeffrey, their number 3 wide receiver, LeGarrette Blount, their number 1 running back, key contributors on the defensive side of the football. All these guys were on short-term 1 year deals that they acquired via free agency. So the point here, Pat, is that Dianna is absolutely correct. And we should be able to see a lot more GMs get very aggressive in this free agency period to try to turn their teams around because I think that it can be done pretty quickly.
Gumpy.
Warren, why the hell did the Dolphins release Kyle Van Noy?
So I don't know the specifics around him besides deciding that they wanted to move in a different direction. They made I previewed this last offseason. How are the Dolphins going to look different defensively this year? I expected a massive change because of all the young and cheap players that they had on their 2019 roster. And they went in, and their GM and their head coach went in and made a strategic effort and concerted effort to bring in a lot of these guys via free agency last offseason. They did that. They got a lot older. They got a lot more intelligent defensively, a lot more experience in that system. I can't tell you what happened there. That was a little bit of a shock to me, other than trying to save future money, and they didn't feel that the player was worth it. But he was shocked. I was shocked. I'm sure his agent was shocked.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where Kyle Van Noy ends up. He'll tell us what happened, hopefully, one day, either here or on his Twitch stream, which is incredible. Is there any analytics that show that your team should give up 3 first-round draft picks for Russell Wilson or like Deshaun Watson? Are there any alarming analyti that you have dove into that say, like, if you get Deshaun or Russell on your team, they'll count for like 3-4 wins or anything like that? Is there anything like that in your world, or how do you feel about the potential worth whenever it comes to draft picks for a player type situation?
Well, the problem is we haven't had a lot of instances where we've been able to prove if that's correct, where we've been able to say, okay, let's find examples where a team gave up 3 first-rounders for a quarterback like Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, and were they right to do so or not? So a lot of this is conjecture and speculation based on the data. That being said, I would rather have a guy like Deshaun Watson because he's substantially younger than I would Russell Wilson if I'm giving up that level of draft capital. Now, I absolutely love Russell Wilson, but I think that Deshaun Watson is going to be worth more on the marketplace than Russell Wilson would be at this point in time.
Diggs.
So there was a report earlier today that the Patriots are not impressed with any of the quarterbacks in free agency. Now you have Cam Newton, Jacoby Brissett, Trubisky, Fitzpatrick. Would you roll with Jameis? Would you roll with any of those guys before, say, maybe taking like Mac Jones later in the draft if you're the Patriots, like 15th overall?
Oh, Mac ain't making it to 15.
He's going top 10.
Yeah, he's getting maybe top 5.
Josh Allen reincarnated.
That's what people are saying.
It all depends on what the Patriots' goals are this season. If they don't mind tanking, then you want to roll with a younger guy and try to build around him and set yourself up for future success year 2, year 3. That's the key with these young quarterbacks is you want to get them in, you want to give them experience, and then you want to try to have a roster that's capable of supporting them on a run deep into the playoffs in year 2, 3, or 4. So if Belichick says, I don't care about this season, let's just go after a quarterback, then that's what you would want to do. If you can't get Mac Jones, then you could plug Jameis Winston in. Look, Jameis, in my opinion, would give you absolutely nothing less than what Cam Newton was able to give you last year, but that's still not getting you to the playoffs. They are getting back a number of guys via opt-outs from last season, and in addition, they have more capital to work with. They've got more cap room, they got better draft picks than they typically have, so there is a lot that Belichick could do this offseason, but as we said, typically you're not going to turn a franchise from a losing record to a winning record in just one offseason. It's going to be interesting to see how Belichick does this, because I think he is the type of coach with the type of teaching skills that will be able to elevate talent and does have a good baseline of general talent there. But they've got a lot of work to do. I think Jameis Winston would be a fine, adequate quarterback in the NFL still, but I don't think he's winning a Super Bowl for you.
I saw him throw a deep ball on Nickelodeon. It was It was
You're
unbelievable,
perfect.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Through an absolute time. What do you have, Ty?
Warren, do you have any predictive models for any other sports, or have you considered it? Like, do you have a calculation for who's going to win the NCAA tournament right now?
Yeah, who should we bet on? West Virginia?
I do not know because I do not have a model. I spend all of my time focusing on the NFL. So,
Come on, dude.
You know,
Warren.
I'm useless for anything else, to be honest.
So are you in there like coding or algorithms and things? When you say your model, what does that mean? You're like writing this?
Yeah, I've got an algorithm that basically tells me what the totals and sides should be set at from a Vegas perspective on the NFL games. And so there's a lot of data that gets filtered into that model. And I'm constantly tweaking it every single season, but I'm also looking at other things that don't have anything necessarily to do with that model, that predictive algorithm itself. But I'm looking at analytics from the prior season, from 2020. I'm looking at, well, what were teams doing differently from like a play action rate, pre-snap motion rate? What are these teams doing? What were some teams doing differently than 2019? And how did that impact their odds of winning games and that sort of thing?
So
it's a lot of work.
So do you give yourself like homework? You're like, all right, on Monday from noon to 2, I'm going to work on third downs in the NFL in 2018. And is that what you do?
I create lists. I create to-do lists every single day, and I stay up very late at night. So I'm just scribbling notes at very late hours of what I need to do the next day or the next week. And I just set deadlines for myself. And absolutely, I'm looking into third down conversion rate, which hinges primarily on the yards to go on third down, which hinges on what teams are doing on early downs, which hinges on their decision-making on first down and their aggressiveness. So like I'm building all of these things in. I'm trying to figure out where the league is headed and what teams can do better to try to take advantage of the rules.
Well, we appreciate your hard work in there, okay? That is a place that I will never go, but the fact that we get a chance to utilize your brain in this world evaluating football, we are thankful, sir. Your mustache looks better than ever, I'd say, today.
Thank you, sir.
No,
appreciate it.
No problem. At Sharp Football, ladies and gentlemen, Warren Sharp. All right, let's get to a break and then some phone calls on the other side, shall we?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Remember, still keep friend of the show, Jacob Trago.
Yeah.
I believe he had I'm not going to be the person that breaks the information. The news. I think he had a surgery, though, right? I don't know. That's what we're following along on the internet. I'm not 100% sure.
I would assume that when that happens, that's like one of the first things on the books.
Friend of the show, incredible musician, Jacob
best.
Trago, Year of the Buffalo. Stage 4 colon cancer yesterday, diagnosed. keep him in positive. We're putting some stuff together just as a thank you for everything he's done for us. He's going to beat this, be on the other side of it, obviously. But if you can, at some point, say, hey, Dregs, do your thing. You got to go kick some ass. 40 minutes into hour 2 here. We'll be back on the other side with some phone calls. 1-888-MAD-DOG-6. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
His top target, the burner on play 1, puts the Cougs on top.
What a start here in New Orleans, Adam. Everybody talked about De'Ara King being a runner. The Tulane defense knew that. It almost felt like he was going to do it. Then he pulls up and drops a dime to Marquez Stevenson to start in an electrifying fashion, Matt.
The fridge, Pat, is back to punt. Ryan Wright.
I love this man. 6'3", 255. And he hits a
Wow.
bomb for the Brand. The Fridge saw his team was in trouble, trotted out on the field, and hit a bomb. Yeah, and I walked all the way through here, down here, sweating profusely, I'd assume. Up an elevator back here that will be loaded with humans. All the way down here, into here, kickoff. Let's call it football. Yeah. That is absolutely magical for the Brand and for Dane Roy. They had 2 returners the entire first half. They put one back there. The ball goes over his head. Perfect bounce, perfect coverage. Good for the University of Houston. Sound didn't work. Back to the board. If I'm in a student section or in a weird place, maybe a remote area, and you have my mic on, ready to roll, my mic on, ready to roll, my mic on. So the sound didn't work on the field. So now we're sprinting up to the booth to get the reel open. We don't have the sound works up there either. My makeup's all off. I thought I looked good. It's been melted off my face. We're off to a hot start in humid New Orleans. Hey, good to go. I'm going to be so winded on there. How's it going, boys? Put it brave! Hell yeah, man. Put it brave!
McMillan.
Shinigami fighting out of Lancaster, California.
This is the Pat McAfee Show on Sirius XM Mad Dog Sports Radio. We thank you for taking the time to seek out this small regional show that streams internationally. Here's Pat and the boys.
Okay. Is that no my steez for you ever try to profile? Making moves for this movie called my lifestyle. Grinding harder than your charger with the lights out. Mine used to play tricks, but I might now. Now I might run it up till my mind's proud. Guaranteed you feel that. Realist from these new jacks. Mona Lisa as my teacher, seeing every angle. Young preacher, but deceiver, cause I feel my anger. I might use it as a weapon when you must be danger. All this manifested, testing whether I'm an angel. I just know
This is No Sweat by Sawaya.
Banger. Shit goes hard.
Fucking Sounds like MGK, by the way, when MGK was rapping at the beginning. This does go very hamsky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like MGK, actually. No Sweat, Sawaya. S-A-W-A-Y-A. Thank you for the song. This is going to play numerous times during the show.
Let it eat.
Sawaya is going to get too big, and he's going to end up cease and desisting us. S-A-W-A-Y-A. No Sweat. Absolute fucking heater. Good for you, pal. Baker Mayfield saw a UFO. Listen, Bake. I am so incredibly jealous. All right, Aaron Rodgers came on the show and talked about how he said he said it before. We seen it on the internet. It was one of the first times I talked to him because this is something I'm very fascinated by. Always have been, always will be. I was somebody that did look up at the sky a lot, the moon, the stars, and just I was very intrigued by the fact that there was definitely aliens, right? Definitely. It was actually one of the biggest sticking points for me never really landing upon a religion, because I would always ask, like, okay, your thoughts on aliens. Like, well, it can't be possible or whatever. It's like, all right, well, so I can't believe this then. That is just kind of the whole thing. And now as we go on, it's becoming more and more open. You know what I mean? Everybody's kind of understanding that whole thing. And I have kept an eye to the sky, traveled all around the place, looking, hoping that one day it would come. Aaron Rodgers told us a story about seeing an orange globe fly across the sky and then 4 fighter jets chasing it down, basically. He was called a crazy person or whatever. Then you obviously have Lazar, who has come out and talked about everything that happens at Area 51 and what he's seen. That guy was basically tried to kill him and ruin him. It's been everything. Nowadays, it's just becoming like a normal thing. New Mexico a couple weeks ago, United Airline, American Airline flight, one or the other. You actually hear the pilot ask the military if they have a target up there because they saw a cylindrical thing buzz over top of them, basically. That was a UFO. Baker Mayfield now and his lady yesterday at Lake Norman just saw a UFO 100%, he says. The tweet reads, almost 100% M and I, his wife, just saw a UFO drop straight out of the sky on our way home from dinner. We stopped and looked at each other and asked if either of us saw what we just saw. You see that?
You see it?
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, did you?
I'm not seeing things.
What was it?
Am I seeing things?
Did you see it?
No, I saw it.
What the fuck was that?
What was it?
Very bright ball of light going straight down out of the sky towards Lake Travis. Anybody else witness this? Questions, he says? Now, Baker Mayfield has been chastised by people for things in the past. He's going to get chastised for this. I would like to let you know that UNM are people that I am jealous of. I wish that I could see this happen. Now, I have been close to thinking that I saw a UFO when I was in California. My wife and I, we were, I believe, in Santa Monica, I think, just walking around. And in Santa Monica, pre-COVID, it was that place is a movie.
Down on a pier down there.
It is a movie. You got all types of different people living their best life. And my wife and I are just walking around, and I look up in the sky, and there's just this massive globe flying around, okay? And I go live on Periscope, by the way, because this is how pumped I was. I was like, I fucking found it. All right, I got a UFO. I've been waiting for this my entire life. I go live. I start talking about this thing. It looked as if there was a spotlight just diddling around in the goddamn sky. At one point, it opens up to this massive ball, and then it just kind of disappears. And I'm like, and nobody was paying attention to it. Nobody around me was paying attention to it. So I asked everybody. One homeless looking person goes, no, it's Elon Musk's SpaceX, dude, or something like that. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's just Elon Musk's toy going back to his plane or whatever. They're like, yeah, he had a SpaceX launch. He did have 2 launches yesterday, SpaceX did. One in Texas and one in Florida. Now, the timing of the one in Texas would not make a lot of sense for this to be this particular case, but maybe it was something that involved the Starship that has now landed by itself, which is going to get pumped out every 72 hours. One of them, it's only going to be $5 million. It lands by itself and allegedly goes to space. Elon Musk is creating airplanes to travel to different fucking planets at this point. We live in a wild time, but I like the fact that Baker was open about this, and I'm incredibly jealous. I don't think it it was a SpaceX launch like I saw. I think he saw the real thing. Good for him. It just so happens to be at the same exact time, though, on the same exact day that Elon was also sending some of our boys out to space as well, which is very interesting.
Yeah, because in our research, the Texas one was done in the afternoon as far as Elon was concerned. And then Nick found one that was last night in the middle of the night in Florida.
3 a.m.
And Baker's tweet was at 11:40 p.m., so ipso facto, aliens.
No, so 11:40, Texas. What's that, 2 hours?
Central Time.
1 hour.
Is where he's at, Lake Travis Central Time, Dallas?
I'll
1
find
hour?
out.
Because
Normally.
then that'd be 12:40, which still is not match up to the SpaceX thing. So he saw fucking aliens. I am so jealous.
If you were a GM, would you want your quarterback seeing aliens?
I heard that's what Colin Cowherd said, and I love it. I love it. That was his.
Can't have that.
I don't want my quarterback believing in aliens, all right? Which he didn't like the backwards hat either, which I fucking love it, dude. That's just like the most. I mean, it's awesome that that's the first thing you think of is like, there's no way in hell I want my quarterback thinking that there's extraterrestrials. He even looks at the universe and thinks like, oh, there has to be something out there. Not my guy under center.
No.
Not my guy throwing the ball. I absolutely love it.
Not to change the subject, but I gave Elon a pretty hard time for his fucking Mickey Mouse spaceship that he made that went to the space station. That thing was fucking awesome yesterday. I mean, it did like a full like flip, landed itself. I mean,
And by the way, it's nowhere near done.
No.
Like they're still working on these starships that you're going to be able to buy for $5 million a pop. Okay, that's a lot of money. But then they said, don't worry, if you don't have the cash for it, we'll figure out a way for you to be a slave on Mars to pay back for it, basically.
Yeah.
There's going to be people just getting pumped in and out of these things, going to other planets. It's going to be Avatar. It's going to be Jacob Sully. It's going to be a wild situation. And we're living in the middle of that time. Shout out Elon Musk, our resident alien, for getting this done for us so we can go meet up with the other aliens. He's from one of those smart alien places, and they probably have others that fly to other dumbass planets. And like, you guys haven't been able to catch up yet, all right? This is how we're doing it. Okay, wait till you see the malls we got up here. Like, this is a great time to be alive. Shout out to Baker and them.
I wasn't a huge fan of the Cybertruck, but then I saw a rendering this morning of it fitted for like, work on another planet. It looks fucking awesome. I want one now.
Yeah, he didn't make those for here.
No.
No.
Those things
you see like the tires on it. It's like, oh yeah, this was meant to drive on Mars.
Oh, this isn't for our...
Makes sense now.
Oh, this thing's sweet.
Yeah, it's awesome.
By the way, the only bad part of the Cybertruck debut was the bulletproof glass breaking.
Yes.
Very quickly, which I think was on purpose, by the way, because it's all we really remember about. As soon as I seen that thing, I said, need it in the driveway. Turns out it's not meant for my driveway.
No.
It's meant for Mars driveway. That's why you got to buy Dogecoin, because that's what they're... There's people that believe that.
It's true.
That you will use Dogecoin and Bitcoin in the intergalactics, because the blockchain is not owned by any country. So if you want to do any intergalactic space travel and pay aliens or anything, you got to have the Bitcoin or the Dogecoin, obviously.
You want to stay at that hotel, you get out the Bitcoin.
You want to be a fucking Cecil, pal?
What do you think? They're taking cash?
They might. You got enough.
1712.
That is real, by the way. Had a homeless guy come up to me at the gas station over here. You got any, man, this got to be a tough time, huh? That's what I said to him.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I could get cash for you right now.
You got Dogecoin?
I don't even have a debit card. Yeah, can I get you some Doge, dude? I bought him some shit inside.
Hell yeah.
I bought him some of my favorites. I don't know if they were his favorites. I think he was looking strictly for booze. But
I'm guessing he wasn't too picky.
Can't be choosers.
No, I don't think he enjoyed my
Really?
my glazed cinnamon roll.
The honey bun?
Really?
Yeah, because he didn't have access to a microwave. Yeah. I thought about that on the way out.
Well, you could go back in the gas station and do it. They got chimichangas
No, they
there.
don't they kick them out of the gas station. So that's why.
I think I know the guy you're talking about.
Yeah.
They are not keen on letting him come in.
No, but he has a good little hustle. But I would say this is probably the worst time to be a panhandler, because the things that you're handling for in your pan no longer really exist.
No.
I didn't even have change in the truck to give the guy.
Nope.
Nothing.
Sorry.
I do have a couple Bitcoin, though. If you'd like to go to Mars and maybe hack some rocks up there. Let's go to Butters in Maryland. Great name. What do you want to talk about?
Hello.
Hey, Butters. What's going on, man?
Pat, boys, how you doing today?
Not too shabby. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I just want to say, first off, shout out to you for a big music show now with your Grateful Dead reference on Monday with the teddy bear shoes and the little OAR slip with the crazy game of poker yesterday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I introduced them one time.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. But my question for you guys is, so I'm an Eagles fan, the second biggest dumpster fire in the NFL at this point in time. How do we go about fixing this? How do we get the team going someplace good again?
I think, great question, Butters. We appreciate you too, by the way. Hope everything's okay with the sound or the breathing wherever you're at. Hope everything's all right, Butters. The Eagles are kind of slipping by in this whole thing because the Houston Texans are doing what they're doing. That place is a dumpster fire. Now, is Jalen Hurts going to be the guy? Maybe hired one of his longtime, family friends to be the quarterback coach. They got a new offense coordinator there who played or coached alongside Frank Reich. Maybe he'll be able to make Jalen Hurts good. It's an interesting. Who knows what's happening in Philadelphia? I don't know what their contract setup is either. Probably some bigger moves happening just like the rest of the NFL. On the other side of this 6-minute break, we'll have AJ Hawk and Robbie Gould. Hey, hour 3 is on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show.
Lakers, welcome to the Blender, the home of a team and a fan base on a playoff push the likes the world has never seen before. Crescent City, get on your feet for tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Sprite, an incredibly refreshing drink. Starting at forward was the number 2 overall pick in the 2016 NBA draft. Now he's an NBA All-Star, Brandon Ingram. At forward, this man has been dunking on little white kids on the internet for 10 years. The incomparable, unstoppable, 6'6" phenom, Zion Williamson. At center, standing at 8 feet tall, from Georgia Tech, number 22, Derek Favors. This man's family had a reality show in Lithuania. He was born and raised in LA, but he found his J in the N-O. Lonzo Ball. And the OG of the roster. On the court, he's a monster. Braids hanging, shots banging. It's not Drew, it's Drew Holiday. Let's get this done. Thank you very much. Go Pelicans. Tired of me right now. That's how you play basketball. Will be a 5-bowler from the Red Panda. Up we go. Yes! 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 Red Panda! What a legendary players, throw some balls to Red Panda, fly back to Indianapolis. Success story, Foxy. What a fucking night.
Pretty big breaking news.
Oh,
no.
What's that? Oh, he got got. Oh, he got got. He got got. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Tony. Gordon We got to get to a goddamn break. Can't happen. Oh, no. Can't win with it. Oh, no. Everything I just said was wrong.
It would have been cool though if it was right.
It would have been cool, wouldn't it? Diggs just got it, darn Schefter.
Oh my God. It was at Ultra Weed Hater.
Oh.
He got Cockiner.
What was it doing on my timeline?
Bro, McCockner's just jujuing on you.
I ain't finna tell you how I got away with this shit.
The Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about. Yes,
speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to that show. I am the host of that show. It is named after me. It's an average show. And hour 3 of that average show begins right now. Shout out to Twine for that beat drop. Joining us is a Super Bowl champ and college football national champion from The Ohio State, ladies and gentlemen, AJ Hawk.
Baby AJ!
How are you, AJ?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Hey, not too shabby. You shared a podcast with me last night that I would like you to explain to the world, probably because I told you I was going to listen and I did not. But basically, some information about Tiger's injuries has come out a little bit, right?
Really?
AJ, would you like to share more?
Well, I don't have the link with me. I don't remember the radio show that went on. The doctor that went on to talk about Tiger's injuries, I guess he kind of went through it by piece by piece, in which what's going to be the toughest thing for him to come back. But basically at the end of it, this doctor at least said he gives him a 1% chance of playing competitive golf again.
Yeah, this is the J.P. Peterson Show, and it's Dr. Chris McLaren that's talking. And Dr. Chris joins J.P. on the show today to give us information on Tiger Woods, the injuries he had in the car crash, and the likelihood of him playing competitive golf again. It does not look good for Tiger, says the bio here. But you said you listened, and it sounded like the doctor did know what he was talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. It really did. And he was really concerned about his ankle joint, going into his foot. He said, that's really bad, the broken leg. And then the host, then all of a sudden they said, we haven't even talked about his back yet. He just flipped a car 6-7 times, and he's 5 weeks removed from back surgery.
Oh, yeah, you're right. But there's a reason why. If there's a 1% chance, you might as well make that thing a 99% chance with Tiger Woods. I don't want to hear Dr. Chris's negative bullshit ever again.
Hell yeah.
Dr. Chris did not deserve that, okay? He's talking into probably facts, and I'm just trying to wish things into existence. Speaking of wishing things into existence, this is a pretty cool thing that's about to happen for the first time ever. A man who's entering his 17th year in the NFL. Kicker for the San Francisco 49ers, Robbie Gould.
What's happening? Thanks for having me on the show.
I had no idea you were a guitar nut. You play those guitars? You collect guitars?
I wish I could rip one of those guitars. I collect them. They're autographed guitars. So I got no instrumental background whatsoever. I can't sing. I can't play the piano, which is behind me too. And I sure as hell can't play the guitar. I'd love to, but I can't do it.
So now listen, when you miss, by the way, the world almost collapsed. I don't know if you know that. At this point, you're going, as soon as I read this and we wrote it down, going into your 17th year, you've been playing football forever. You seem to never miss at this point. San Fran just gave you a deal a couple years ago, re-extension or whatever. Robbie, congrats on a hell of a fucking run.
Yeah. Thanks, I appreciate it. It's always fun to watch the Pat McAfee tweets after the games, especially when I miss. I appreciate you always having my back.
Well, it's because you start trending, Robbie. Everybody's like, Robbie Gould, this guy, or whatever. It's like he never as soon as you miss, you trend. That's how weird it is. So I try my best to make sure people understand.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You and my 3 young kids, they're they give it to me probably worse than anybody on Twitter, that's for sure.
How have you been able to do this for so long? It's a mental game. Everybody knows that. Guys come and go. But how have you been able to maintain the physical ability to kick balls well? It feels like you're kicking them the same exact distance you've been kicking them for maybe the last 10 years at this point. How have you been able to do it? Are you just always working out? How have you been able to do this for 17 years now?
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to when I started playing, I played with one of your former teammates, and Adam Vinatieri, the greatest of all time, right? So I was able to learn a lot from him and Josh Miller and Lonnie Paxton when I was in New England. And then, you start playing and then you don't realize kind of how hard it is to stay in the game. So you figure, how am I going to do that? So I started following guys like Brian Urlacher and Olin Kreutz, and had Julius Peppers come in and realized how much it is about keeping your body in shape all year round and not turning into this, let's take 3 months off and get started back up in April. So I think a lot of it's training, a lot of it's a mentality, and then obviously having a lot of great players and coaches around is a lot of fun. And then when you're playing guys like AJ and the Green Bay Packers, you have to stay in shape if you're going to be competitive in Chicago. So thanks, AJ. I appreciate you always driving me. We've had some epic battles. So it's always good. It's always good to try to beat the Green Bay Packers. But, a big part of why we had to stay in shape was because of you guys.
Yeah, well, it's tough when you have Aaron Rodgers under center. It makes everybody's job on the other side. Robbie, first, congrats. Actually, I know you signed an extension at the end of this last season. I know Pat was said a couple years ago, but I know you're locked down for a couple more years in San Francisco.
Big money.
Yeah, so at the end of the season, the team had an option to pick up, and the last week of the season, they came to me and asked to renegotiate and restructure my contract. And it's tough being on the West Coast away from my kids and my wife, and obviously San Francisco, a place that I like to play in, and I have a lot of appreciation for Kyle Shanahan and his offensive mind. So I love the way that the team's trending. Obviously, if we can stay healthy, I think we'll be okay. But I'm locked in for 2 more years, and then we're probably going to try to go until this wheel falls off. That's for sure.
I can't wait to watch. I think you'll be able to kick forever. I think I told a story earlier, and when you talked about getting in shape or whatever, staying in shape, when I first saw you in my entire life, it was at Penn State, and you were running a sprint on like the treadmill up there. I was like, who is that? They're like, that's our kicker. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to do that, if this is my following or whatever, but you're always so professional, I think, even since those days. So it's been nice to see this whole thing. Speaking of professional, whenever they ask you to restructure your contract, is that because of the pending doom that's coming with the salary cap that's right now? Because around the NFL, and I know you are 17 years in, invested, and know a lot going on. I assume you're in the NFLPA. I'm not 100% sure, but this next year they said next week's going to be a massacre with people getting cut because of cap casualties and stuff like that. Was that talked about when you redid your deal? And are you hearing anything about that from the players' side about how this is going to be handled?
Well, first, I was a terrible recruiter at Penn State because you went to West Virginia. So,
no, McQuarrie. It was McQuarrie.
I got to work on those recruiting skills now, I think this is going to have this NFL offseason is going to have a lot to do with what happened in 2011 is what you've seen, and we had the lockout year. A lot of older veterans got cut. A lot of guys got put back in the market. I don't think the salaries are going to be as high as what everyone expected to be. obviously the TV contracts getting signed and renegotiated throughout all the networks is going to help. A 17-game season is going to help with those because it could push the cap up a little bit. But you're going to see a lot of older guys get cut. You're going to see a lot of guys with no guaranteed money getting cut, and it's going to be a pretty wild free agency. You already saw that with the quarterback starting. But when I went to renegotiate my contract, it wasn't about necessarily what was going to happen on the horizon. I think it was more, hey, we want to keep you here for longer than just the 1-year option. How can we make this happen? And how can we make it team friendly a little bit to the fact that they're trying to create cap space. And you're seeing a lot of these teams doing that now by either restructuring contracts or getting rid of guys like a Golden Tate who was due $6 million. And you're going to see a lot of that come up in the next probably seven days for sure.
Oh, yeah. Like Pat said, it's going to be a massacre, they say, next week. But I want to go back to your first year in San Francisco, Robbie. You guys beat your former team, the Bears, 15-14 one game, all on 5 of your field goals. How in the hell does that ever happen? And did that just prove that simulation theory is real or something? Like, what does that mean? You
definitely couldn't have wrote that story any better, especially after getting cut in training camp and getting a chance to do that a year later. But
they said you stink. Hey, they said you stink. That's what they said.
They said we want to upgrade the position.
Wow.
I guess they upgraded it, right? So it's part of the business, AJ. Like anything else, if Peyton Manning can get cut out of Indianapolis, anybody can get cut. So I was fortunate enough to play for the Giants. I think they're an unbelievable organization, and obviously playing in San Francisco for the York family has been awesome. I mean, they dedicate so much money into player rehab and recovery and making sure that we have everything on the 2-a-day trips from the West Coast to the East Coast. The West Coast teams, I've never played for a West Coast team. I've always been lucky enough to play on the East Coast. When I played for the Giants, the furthest west we went was Green Bay in the first round of the playoffs. So when you go and play on the West Coast, you travel in Friday night, coming in after practice, and you're leaving Sunday. Sometimes you'll stay in those cities for 10 days if you have 2 East Coast games back to back.
That has to, I would assume you have a routine. That has to mess that up. And then this year, you guys got kicked out of San Francisco altogether.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. Go to Arizona, playing the Dome, you wake up one morning and you're packing your bags. I stayed in a hotel. So it wasn't as bad for me because I didn't have my family, but I felt bad for the guys who had families and houses and things like that they had to leave for 35 days. But I literally did not leave a hotel and right across from the Cardinals Stadium for 35 days. They set up this small bubble and we never left. It's almost like the NBA playoffs. But the city of Santa Clara, they're very strict. Obviously, California is really strict. You can see that the whole way up and down the state. But Santa Clara County specifically kicked us out because they were worried about, the football players taking up the hospital beds with the everyday testing and everything else. And you see San Francisco now, the 49ers, they're the first team to put together a medical board. They're one of the only teams without any fans in the stands, and they're trying to find ways to keep people safe, and the best way to bring it back online, because obviously it's a huge revenue boost for not only the players but the owners as well.
Yeah, huge, and that's why the salary cap and with the TV deal that you mentioned helping is everything about that. Can I go back though to what you just said there? There's going to be people that think you hate your family.
My wife still loves me, so I'm okay. As long as she loves me, I don't care.
So how's that way? Because I remember there was a potential contract dispute, right, with San Francisco. You enjoyed what was going on, but you were away from your family, right? That was it was a couple years ago, I think, and that's how that'll be as long as you kick in San Fran?
Well, I think right now, as long as if schools open up in California, I think my family will come with me. But a lot of the time I've just been on a 1-year deal. So to uproot my family and leave for 5 months and then try to get them reacclimated with a first grader and a preschool and a 2-year-old is pretty difficult, where I'd leave my wife in an apartment all by herself for kids to be on remote learning wouldn't have been a whole lot of fun, So, I think, you go back to like how it all started, you're going to see the franchise tag popped up. I've been through this 2 or 3 times It's not fun for any player. You don't want to be franchised. Obviously, you don't want to play on a 1-year deal. And the reality is the franchise tag gives the organization and the player who they want to keep a longer ability to negotiate a contract. Now, the problem is with that is you're going to go through and probably not get one until July. And then all the money in free agency is gone. They have the draft. They figure it all out, and there's no money left anyway. So usually most players have to either do one of two things: take what they're offering, or 2, you play under the franchise, or 3, the player just doesn't play or doesn't show up, and eventually either trade you or you find a way to get a long-term deal right before the clock strikes at the end of July for the franchise tags.
Hey, you're so fucking smooth, dude. Like, you are. You are.
I wish I had your leg. I wouldn't have to worry about being smooth. I'm not that big. I didn't have that. I didn't have the cannon you had. I had to find something that worked for me.
That's because you run too much. Stop running, you can get a little bit bigger. That's kind of that's the give and take. If you have this leg, it doesn't last long, but it's a good time. You know what I mean? You are.
Yeah, no doubt.
You are the 17. I assume, and I've seen a lot of photos. I assume in videos, you're an incredible golfer, huh? You're a big-time golfer. I know you're in the golf community pretty big. Is that always been, or has the kicking kind of transitioned for you?
When I got I played a lot when I was growing up, but I had it was like hit and giggle. I was just happy to be out there. It was like a 20 handicap. I was with Brad Maynard and Pat Manley in my rookie year in the offseason. I was 15 handicap, just getting absolutely smoked, gambling with them on the golf course. I was like, this sucks. I can't keep doing this every day, every week. So I ended up playing, taking lessons, joined a country club, and then got my handicap down to 4. And I'm still somehow finding a way to give money to those guys. I don't know what it is.
Zito?
Yeah, big Bears fan here. So I just want to say, did you watch the actual Cody Parkey kick in 2018? And did you redo that kick yourself?
Well, I did watch the game. I was actually at the game. So I've only made the playoffs 4 or 5 times, and there was always a stretch that if I didn't make the playoffs, I would go watch a game. I'd buy a ticket, or I would go watch somebody that I play. Or my brother, when he's a coach in Denver for the Broncos.
Shout out Chris.
Coach. Yeah, shout out Chris. So I ended up going to the playoff game with my wife and my 3 kids. And we were watching the game, and I said to my wife in the middle of the 3rd quarter, I'm like, listen, this game's coming down to a field goal.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, no way. She's like, no idea. I'm like, honey, listen, no one's scoring in the red zone. The Bears settled for a few short field goals. They're going to get probably a longer attempt. Well, next thing you know, the Eagles finally scored in the red zone, and the Bears came back and made that awesome return. I was oh, this is going to be shorter than I thought. And sure enough, we're sitting in the right corner, right off the right upright of where it went.
Oh.
Called the timeout. My wife goes, oh, my gosh, he better make this. And I was like, yeah, I hope he does too. And then it didn't. And then the chaos that ensued after that, I felt, as kickers, Pat, and punters, like we always feel they're cheering for the guy to make it, right? Like you felt terrible for him. And obviously this is something as Bear fans will obviously continue, but it's nice to see him back on his feet and doing well.
I agree. Great bounce back. I assume you're recognized in Chicago, though, right? As soon as Cody misses that kick, they're probably like, the fucking guy is right here.
Well, it's funny is I bought the tickets from the Bears to go watch the game, which is a little bit ironic. And then we went out to eat for like a lunch, and I literally bought these sweet tickets to go show my kids, like, hey, like they're old enough to start getting it. They haven't really watched Dad play any NFL games, so this is like the first time I'm watching a game with my kids in the stands as a fan, but also taking them to an NFL game where like my career really will always be what it is.
Hell yeah.
And took off. They're like, Dad, like, go Bears, go. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We want them to win, just not when we're playing Dad, right? so now my kids, every time we get ready to watch, TV or the playoffs, and they're like, Dad, are we supposed to root for these guys or what? I'm like, yeah, you can root for them because they're not playing Dad. When they play Dad, no chance. So, I watched. It was a crazy game, and you always cheer for them. It's just part of the nature of the business, and hopefully they don't win a Super Bowl before I do, because that means they would have beat us. But I hope they do well.
Rob, I'm sorry, AJ. This is 100% my fault. I'm fascinated by Rob because I know you, but I don't really know you that well. I just heard you talking about how the return, this is going to be a shorter one, and like reading the game, basically. A lot of people don't understand the kickers and punters have to do that. For instance, there was a couple first down plays that we would run that I knew I was punting that series. As soon as I saw the formation, and as soon as I saw them, I'm like, oh, this never fucking works. Okay, so we're losing yards here, probably going to end up punting. I think reading the game is something that a kicker and punter does just naturally, because it's like, oh, we're going to have to go work or not. With Kyle Shanahan and that offense, is that the most interesting thing you have ever gotten to watch, like up close? Because you go back to that NFC Championship game, 186 yards before that offense can go like out of nowhere. How has it been like reading the team and reading the offense and how everything's going in San Fran right now?
Well, when I got there, we were rebuilding, right? And all I remember everyone saying is, listen, Kyle's going to put up points and he's going to move the football with no matter who he has and whoever's on his roster. And that's been true for 4 years through injuries and everything else. I think what's amazing is I wish everyone could just sit in an offensive team meeting with him and go over what it's going to take for the week and why we run the plays we run, or like in training camp, watching it all connect from offense, special teams, and defense, and asking guys questions about, well, hey, why are we running this play, and what are you supposed to do to defend it? It's pretty amazing to watch this guy's football wizardry go to work. And then, I think you talk about those situations. Anytime like we get a kickoff and we're getting ready to go for a game-winning field goal at the end, obviously a big part of that drive is going to be the return. And then the next 2 or 3 plays are going to tell you basically how far it's going to be. So you're kind of getting your mind ready, going through that process. Hey, if it's the 50-yard field goal, we're doing this. If it's 40, it's this. If it's 30, it's doing this. So, yeah, I think a lot of that helps, but I also think a lot of that helps whether you have timeouts and helping 2 young guys on the sideline. You've pretty much been through almost every situation possible. And for me, that's just a part of the game that I've always enjoyed and loved. I wish I could have been AJ and had 150 tackles a season and smashing people around, but unfortunately, I wasn't, my body at 180 pounds wasn't built for that. So I decided to be the kicker, and learning the football situations that these guys go through. You want to come through for them because they just spent 70 plays killing themselves to win the football game, and here you walk in the locker room as a kicker and you miss the field goal, you feel terrible.
Hey, Rob, you said your brother is coaching. Listening to you talk about how you process the game and how you pay attention, sounds like you would be a great coach. Are you thinking about that? And I'm not saying just go be a special teams coach with your knowledge. Why couldn't you go become a head coach someday?
I haven't really thought much about getting into coaching. Those guys grind. I talk to my brother every week. So talking football, going through situations that he saw on clips and things that I can practice to get better or bring back to our team. It's unique that I have that situation and be able to, I'll say, increase my football acumen. But I'd love to be a consultant one day. I'd love to be on the executive level side, helping, why you make decisions for players, whether it be rehab and recovery. Because here's the thing, everybody now has the same set of rules. Back in the day, it used to be, you would go to practice and do 2-a-days and smash each other. And everyone's like, well, we got to do it in training camp for 3 hours a day, twice a day, right? Lovey, I remember Lovey's whole bone to us was like, hey, the second practice is going to be an hour and 45 minutes, and we're going to take the bottoms off. You're still going to have your tops on, that kind of thing, right? So everyone has the same work hours. Everyone has the same number of padded practices. Everything like that's the same. So now what teams are starting to trend towards is reshuffling what their performance side looks like, from training to recovery to training room. All of that has to now take the forefront of the focus, because truly everyone can coach football, right?
Was that your major?
Picking picks. What's that?
Was that your major, sports athletic training or
business management?
Okay.
Yeah. So, I'd love to sit there and help those guys understand how to, market the players better to make more money for not only the players, but also for the business side of it. But also, you see a lot of teams that make their players go outside the building for a massage and acupuncture and all these things. Well, San Francisco, when I got there, they brought it in because I had taken it from the Giants, and I asked these guys if they'd want to do it, and they brought it to the ownership, and they said, yeah. Now guys are in literally 7 days a week eating 3 meals, keeping their weight up, and it's been a lot of fun to watch happen. So I would say I'd like to get in the executive consulting role.
You do the needle stuff?
Yeah, you should try it. It's yours leg's a little thicker, so it's a bigger needle, but you can handle it.
Yeah,
I've seen you on the WWE stuff.
Hey, Hey, pretty good, huh?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. You should take on Shaq.
Hey, he took a table bump last night. That big of a man falling that far through 2 tables onto that ground, he might have broke his back last night.
That table exploded into
that
1,000 pieces.
That was unbelievable to watch. What's the off season look like? 3 kids, obviously COVID, the whole thing. What are you doing? You golfing? When do you start kicking? Do you kick all year round?
No, so I'm living in Chicago. It's full-time home. I get up in the morning, get the kids ready for school, go drop them off, pick them up. One of my sons is getting picked up at 1 o'clock. My wife went and picked him up today, and then my other son gets picked up at 3, and in between there I work out, and then probably another month I'll start kicking. This offseason I try to take a little bit more time off from kicking and get my body put back together. I pulled my groin at the end of the season. So other than that, it's just spent a lot of time with my kids coaching basketball, coaching their basketball and getting ready to coach their baseball teams. It's interesting. It's like herding cats. It's amazing. It's so much fun, though.
Hey, you hit one. Yeah, I do remember you pulled your groin. I remember you hit a ball, I think, too, with a pulled groin, right?
Yeah, I did it at the end of the LA game on the 49-yard field goal. And I played our punter, Mitch, he ended up getting a shin bruise. And I had pulled my groin in LA just like he got his shin bruise. They came in the next morning and they're like, hey, you're going to be kicking off. I'm like, sweet, let's do this. So on a pulled groin, nothing like it. So I ended up hurting a little bit more in that game, but I had to deal with it probably for another 5 or 6 weeks and was able to finally figure it out. The hardest part about COVID was you couldn't be in the building sometimes on Mondays or Tuesdays. So trying to figure out how you're going to do that rehab and recovery based on, if somebody had a case or close contact and all that kind of stuff. So that's probably the most challenging part for a lot of guys is when they close down the building where you're going to get any of those services.
Good on you kicking with a pulled groin. I'm surprised you didn't completely suck. Like you should have sucked. Did you? Did you suck? Did you see noticeable suckage?
I'm too old. I'm used to getting hurt. I'm used to things bothering me. It's just part of getting old. I'm 38. I don't think that there's ever a day I wake up that I'm like, man, I feel awesome.
Hey, me neither, man. And that's for many different reasons. We appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. Legend, Robbie Gould. Thank you, Robbie.
Good talking with you.
You too. 17 years.
That's wild.
Long, AJ.
Legend.
Yeah. Still going, too. I mean, like he said, he's going to go until it falls off.
He's a lifer, I think, that guy. You know what I mean? Like you said, coach, he's definitely going to get into coaching. I mean, definitely.
Sounds like it.
And when he was talking about his brother calling him, his brother's coaching with Tom, probably. Mm-hmm. He's just calling Robbie, giving all the fucking information. I was like, that's what my reaction was. What's going on? What is going on? No, it's probably technique stuff, if I had to guess. Chris was also a kicker. He kicked at University of Virginia. He was a good kicker.
It's got to be tough for Bears fans to listen to that.
He was in the stadium.
Oh boy.
The guy's in the stadium. Looking at it, like, all right, he's got to make it. Yeah. His wife, by the way, is like, he'll make it, right? Yeah. They cut you, remember? She's probably a much nicer person than me, right? But I'm saying if I was happy to be in that position, we're in the building or whatever, it's like, could you imagine if he misses this ball right now, Robbie? Oh, that'd be a real shame, wouldn't it? That'd be a real shame. Why'd you guys cut him? You just forced him out? You didn't like him?
No. Chicago absolutely loves him. It was just like, it was probably money.
We're going to upgrade the position.
They did say that publicly.
Yeah.
And that was a quote he remembered.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is that right? Then they had, 9 guys kicking from the spot or whatever last
43
year?
yards.
2 years ago in the offseason?
I didn't know he still lived in Chicago either. I bet he just loves it. Like, hey, these guys haven't had a kicker worth of shit since I left there. They're going to love me forever here.
Well, yeah, it's third biggest city. Robbie! Yeah. No double doinks. All right. God, he's so good.
Pat, do you think the GM, like if you're the GM in Chicago, you have to, if you have a kicker that is solid and he's been very good for you like Robbie, don't you have to think like, hey, man, we need to really think long and hard if we want to replace this dude, because this is one of the most difficult places to kick in the league, too. Like, you can't just bring anybody in.
Yeah, the fans are there, always going to be there. They are a passionate group. Okay, so mentally.
The grass is 9 inches long.
It's windy.
Lake effect.
I mean, it is. You got basically every mental obstacle there is. And kicking is a mental obstacle. That is all it is. And you get a guy, and even if he doesn't have his best year, right? Even if he has a little bit of a down year, it's like, all right, let's assume that this guy's going to be able to get it back. Much like the Titans did with Gostkowski, right? Instead of cutting Gostkowski, they're like, let's have a little faith that this guy's going to be able to figure it out, as opposed to insert name of random kicker we found on the internet who might not be able to pick up as much as he's coming out of a 6-day COVID protocol or whatever. When you cut a kicker, I mean, you are rolling the dice. Now, quarterback, obviously, right? Quarterback is the way it is. But when it comes kicker, punter, like if you have a guy, it is very hard to find just an easy replacement. It is very difficult to do.
Year before, 33 for 39.
Pretty good.
It's not bad.
Take a pay cut.
19th best in the league.
No, he said. No, I ain't doing it.
Hey, remember, he demanded a trade one time back when he was in San Francisco as well.
That's what I was asking about, by the way. Because I remember his family being on the East Coast or being in another place was always like talked about, like that was like a rumor in there. And I was like, he wants to leave San Francisco. What is his family? And it's just like, well, they haven't given me a deal that's like, I can move my family out here. That's all basically like, you get this, but only if this type situation. I don't know. It's a wild game, Miss NFL. It's a wild game. Big thanks to Robbie. Let's get to a break on the other side. We got to talk to AJ about a lot of stuff. Golden Tate gone. Baker Mayfield saw a UFO. Yeah. Colin Cowherd said he doesn't want his quarterbacks believing in aliens.
Nope.
Can't win with it.
Ben's numbers are out.
Well, I mean, the guy that just won the MVP has said he's had alien encounters.
Yeah, I think that's potentially a part of it. But I love that was immediately his reaction. He sees that news. My first reaction is, oh, that's fucking awesome. I wonder if it was what it was, or was it just Elon Musk fucking around out there? That's my first. Colin's first reaction is, see, that's
I'm sick of this guy.
That is awesome. And I enjoy that type of stuff. A lot of people don't, a lot of people get upset about it. I enjoy that happens. Like, I enjoy that one thing can happen and the world can see it in literal polar opposite ways. And that's why sports are beautiful, baby. We'll be back on the other side. Ben Roethlisberger's numbers are out. There's many other things to talk about. Plus your phone calls, 1-888-MAD-DOG-6. It's the Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, March 4th. What's the most beer you did in one night you think of one of those shows?
Well, I never forget when we went to Japan one time. Dudley, Stacy Keebler. I mean, there were so many people out there. I think we went through 103 or 108. Now, between just for myself, I'd always make sure to have about a 12 or 18 pack there. And, here's the thing when some people say, oh, shit, man, you got too much of that beer on. You don't even know how to drink beer. It's like, dude, fuck you. You don't know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to entertain 20,000 people in an arena. If I just go out there and sip it real properly, how fucking exciting is that? So when you're out there on an empty belly and you're shotgunning beers and all that shit's going in, the half that was going in was for me. The half that was going on was for them.
Nice.
But I'm telling you, Pat, when you shotgun a bunch of beers like that and you're drinking about half of each beer, you got a pretty damn good buzz when you come out. And that's a sacrifice I was willing to make every single night.
I would assume you were pretty fucked up, yeah. When did you start self-cheersing? Was that something you did in college? You're like, hey, Steve, good for me, man. Like, when did that start?
No, you know what? I got to give credit to Sandman for starting that, but he was bashing him off his head, and I don't remember, and it wasn't because Sandman was doing it, so I don't want to say I copied him, but he was the first. So, and then my style was, because people always get us confused. They'll say, yeah, man, you used to bang them on your head. No, motherfucker, I was the guy that clacked them together. It was just something we came up with. I don't even know how the beers got introduced to the ring, but it became a thing, and we ran with it.
We have no idea how to do the subway system, but Zeke is doing the directing, the mapping, the planning.
Lights out is in 10 minutes. That train should be ready. He knew his shit. He said it's went that way. This is Zito guided tour. We're not gonna get spun on the train. We should get on an Uber. This was a bad idea. This was a bad decision. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. It's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Are we on the right way to Yankee Stadium right now? To the Bronx.
I don't like that hesitancy.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
New York it's a bit much. There's shit everywhere. It smells like shit. There's a lot of people, but it's a hell of an industry out here, you know.
Thank you so much.
Hey, let's go now, Yanks.
What are we saying now, Kanaki?
Yeah. Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated. Underrated, we the underdogs, underestimated. We the one. Out of the darkness, I rose up. Golden my soul, it's a gold rush. Yeah. Honor and freedom, my toes up. Kicking game on the snare drum. Right on the beat, let it bleed out like sacrifices. Cut it open, emotions. Spilling like.
It's the show recommended by 0 out of 5 old white guys. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
I got your girl. I'm about to do it like some bricks. Sell it or snort it. I don't know. We'll find out later in the song whenever we listen to it. That was Alex Catrambone.
Shout out.
Shout out, Alex. Pop, Who Is This? Is the name of that song.
Okay.
The internet can be a scary place, can't it be?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
My God. And even in incognito mode, your internet service provider can still see all the sites that you visit. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
That's why ExpressVPN encrypts your data and reroutes your internet connection through a secure server that they can't see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Not only does ExpressVPN keep your info private, it also lets you expand your entertainment options. Running out of good shows to binge watch? This VPN lets you change your location so you can watch shows and movies that are not available in your country. Is this legal? Yeah. Gotta be. That way, if you're like Gumpy up in Canada, you can still access all the United States streaming services. You ever heard about this type of stuff, Gumpy?
Watch it all on there, my friend.
Plus, if you're a gamer, ExpressVPN can give you games that haven't launched where you live yet and keep your IP address safe from rival gamers. Those rival gamers.
They'll get you.
Go to expressvpn.com/Pat. That's expressvpn.com/PAT to find out how you can get 3 months of ExpressVPN for free.
3?
Wow. That's a quarter of the year.
Oh, my God.
That sounds illegal, but we should definitely do that.
I'll check it out.
Oh, yeah. expressvpn.com/Pat. AJ, Russell Wilson news took quite a turn today on our show, talking to NFL insider, ESPN pundit Dianna Russini. She said that people have been calling Seattle, and Seattle's been calling people. And me immediately overreacting. Wait a minute, I said. I said, okay, I'm gonna do what. And Diana's never done this, but her employer, ESPN, does to things that get said in other places. I'm gonna go, wait a minute. Did you just say that the Seattle Seahawks are shopping Russell Wilson? And she had to clear that up on the show and in a tweet that they are not shopping, but they have made calls or whatever from what they're being told. Now there's more and more information rolling out behind the scenes about the information or about the relationship between Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. I believe a lot of the information we had been hearing from first was coming from Team 3. Okay, from Russell Wilson's team. I believe this new piece of information is coming from the Seattle Seahawks side of this thing. In a tweet thread from Duvie Kleiman, he tweets, Duvie Kleiman, by the way, at NFL_DOVKLEIMAN. We get a lot of information. He is a sniffer of the internet for sports news, and he kind of rounds it all up. The rift between Russell Wilson and the Seahawks is happening because Wilson believes he's a top 5 quarterback all time. And he also believes that he isn't currently even viewed as a top 10 quarterback all time. He thinks Seattle is holding him back with certain decisions, personnel /scheme, if you're wondering what. The issue between the two sides is because now after Carroll gave him full reign of the offense in 2020, Russell couldn't maintain high level of success for even one full season, the second half of 2020 was a turnover-filled mess, so they no longer trust him to be the focal point. So now we have Russell versus Pete standoff, but let's not forget Carroll was criticized for years for being too nice to Russell, so the dynamic has now shifted. Wilson wants to play in an offense that allows him to look like an MVP quarterback, and his own team doesn't trust him. So you put that alongside what Dianna told us that she's been hearing about Seattle calling some teams. Russell Wilson's out of Seattle.
See ya.
This is something this is a personal thing. Dan Orlovsky said it on this show. He said he thought that the Deshaun Watson thing was going to end bad because it was personal. The Russell Wilson thing was just football, is what he said. Now, from the more information, it sounds like this is potentially personal. What's going on?
I don't want to say this is our fault.
You want to pop it up?
Yeah, let Pat react.
Want me to pop it up?
Yeah.
Come
the
on.
Saints are releasing longtime punter Thomas Morstead. They spelled his fucking name wrong.
Come on!
There's no E after the R. New Orleans held on to rookie punter Blake Gillikin all season, and he's likely the future at the position. Move saves $2.5 million in cap space. I said this yesterday.
No, you didn't say it. Tony did. Tony said his name yesterday.
I said I knew it was coming. I literally yesterday, as we're talking about it, we're getting caught up in the hype every day. I mean, we'll talk about Russell here in a second, but you get caught up in the salary cap and the cuts that are going to happen. A massacre was said, and they're trying to save any dollar they can. It hit me right in the face yesterday. That means kickers and punters. That's what that means. That means kickers and punters. And here we are, probably exactly 24 hours from that moment happening. Will Lutz has been asked to renegotiate his contract. Thomas Morstead, who was drafted the same year as me, has been a Pro Bowler. Last year did not have his best year. He's now been waived. He's on the streets. I mean, this is going to continue to happen to kicking and punting positions around the NFL, I fear. And Thomas had a hell of a run at the New Orleans Saints. He was the one that kicked the ambush onside kick in the second half to open the second half of the Super Bowl, in which the Saints beat the Indianapolis Colts team I was a part of. Son of a bitch. He wasn't even that good of an onside kicker, but that moment he was absolutely unbelievable, and he only got better and better. A man who I would say for a long stretch of his career was the most consistent bomber in the NFL, a guy who taught me how to punt, has now been cut, basically, and I assume he's going to continue to go. I saw a workout with him this morning, getting back into great shape. I don't know if he was hurt last year. I fear that this is going to happen a lot, though, over the next few days. Fuck.
Well, think about it, though. If a team can save $2.5 million by cutting the punter, it's going to happen. Like, I'm sure Thomas Morstead had a feeling that this was going to happen. You're $61 million over the cap. Yeah, they're going to save wherever they can.
Oh, no.
What?
Well, I'm also watching the internet unfold with what Dianna said about Russell happen on my phone.
Sure.
As well as now I'm dealing with a good friend of mine getting cut here to save $2.5 million. I mean, it's a wild time to be alive.
I mean, as Dianna said, a lot of GMs had the reactions that you had about JJ's contract, and now, unfortunately, we're correct about this happening to punters and kickers, so ipso facto, you could definitely be an NFL GM.
Yeah, it feels like I'm kind of on cue with general manager's thoughts. Thomas will land on his feet somewhere, and he'll punt the ball well. He loved New Orleans, though. I know that. He was pretty deep in it. What's that?
I would like to take this moment to welcome Thomas to Pittsburgh. The city will love him. We will embrace him with open arms.
I'll tell you what, or Green Bay.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
Hey, I'll tell you what if this punter market becomes a buyer's market?
Yeah.
You know, what if there's going to be some kickers that are out there that are very good that are not going to have a team? That is going to be something that happens. Yeah. Okay, let's get back to Russell, though. Thomas, good run. Thanks, Anyways, this Russell Wilson thing's continuing to cook. It seems like it is much uglier behind the scenes than we could have ever imagined. When Shoddy got fired, who was the offensive coordinator who believed in let Russ cook this past season, and then Pete Carroll came out and said that there was philosophical differences. And the philosophical difference was Shoddy believed that Russell Wilson could cook and win games all by himself. Pete Carroll said we got to be able to run the ball more. I automatically assumed that Pete Carroll thought that because that would help out the offensive line and the protection of Russell Wilson to make the whole team better. But here we are. It seems like Russell Wilson's team and maybe Russell Wilson himself took that as a direct shot from Pete Carroll that they can't win that way. And this thing has kind of gotten to a point where maybe Russell goes somewhere else this year, AJ.
I mean, it sure seems to be trending in that direction. Think about it, though. In those tweets from old Duvie Kleiman, he mentioned how in the past Pete has been criticized for being too nice to Russell or not holding him accountable like they do maybe some other players. Pete was his guy, and now if Pete's not his guy and they're having this rift, yeah, you would think he's out of there. And maybe is this Pete and GM John Snyder trying to like take control back of the team, saying like, hey, no, this is run from the top. Like you can't hijack our whole team.
Of the narrative. It feels like they're trying to get the narrative back here, right? That's because if you look at the parentheside from Duvie there, which was a turnover-riddled mess or whatever he said. I mean, you could tell the which, by the way,
it was
everything that they said here. He threw 4 or something in one
game.
He
had like 12 total turnovers in like a 4-game span.
We were getting yelled at for not talking about him being MVP enough from the Seahawks fans who are, I assume, devastated to hear this news that's going on right now with Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean,
there's a lot of tweets I'm reading where people are like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like, this is bullshit. Like, that type of stuff. It's like, what if – because Russ or Pete could have came out by now.
Yep. Absolutely. But would it do Pete any favors if he came out and spoke on this right now?
No, but Russ could have definitely come out and spoke about this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
could have. Why would you when you can – all your messages can get filtered out there through Team 3?
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, if this was all – you know, like if this was all, Russ could say like none of this, like none of this is. You know what I mean?
Like it could be like JJ, like, I don't own a Peloton or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Or
no one's speaking.
Like no one from my team is speaking out. Like you know what I mean? Like that type. That could happen. So whenever, and now that is unfair to Russell if this is all bullshit that he has to take time out of his life to say that the conversations around a top 5 quarterback of all time. Okay,
in his eyes.
Well, what he wants to be viewed as. We're going to have conversations on whether or not he's going to remain at the team that he's been with since he got drafted. So, like, I can understand where it's not really fair for him to have to address every bullshit rumor that comes out. But this seems to be one that is only growing stronger at this point, this entire thing. I mean, it's growing stronger.
It's also not like it came out of nowhere. Like, he was the one that started stirring this pot. So
Team 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he had an interview morning of.
On Dan Patrick and didn't put any of this stuff to bed, really. It was just kind of like, I guess we'll see.
Can you look at the tape and be like, I didn't play my best football either? Because that is what happened. Russ in the second half of the season was the worst he's looked in years.
But did he look bad because of, parentheses, of personnel and scheme?
Yeah. But he also wasn't running either. Like in years past.
Hold on. If he hates the scheme, go back to that tweet, parentheses, please. He thinks Seattle is holding him back with certain decisions, parentheses, personnel, scheme. Is that scheme going forward or scheme that has happened? Because this past scheme, right, was to make him an MVP, basically. We're going to put this whole thing on your shoulders. Now it's like, it's talking about scheme going forward. I don't want to be a handoff machine. Is that what he's talking about?
Because he liked Shoddy. He wanted to keep him.
You have to assume so, too. Remember, Carroll said he wanted to put an emphasis on the run game.
Yeah, he loves running.
Bro, philosophical difference. He's going to Miami, ain't he?
Yeah. Yes, he is.
And anybody that comes from Pete Carroll's system, like, all they care about is the ball. Like, they have all these little things they say throughout the day of how we're going to take the ball away defensively and offensively. We want to take care of the ball. Like, that's the number one thing. That whole system, any coach that's come from Pete's system kind of has that, and they put it into their team.
The ball, the ball, the ball.
They probably have 19 different footballs around, like stationed around the league that are on those big springs. You got to go by and chop at it every time you walk by, like things like that.
Oh, really?
Haven't you seen? A lot of colleges have them, but yeah, they're like balls, like on these footballs stuck on these springs coming out of the wall, or when you're going through a doorway or whatever.
I'm happy they've evolved just like dip rip around every. You know what I mean? Back in the day, you just had the dip rip around every corner. You would see like every guy basically like go around a corner, and they're like just every single little wall crevice could get it. At any given moment, just to practice natural habits. I like the fact that they're putting like dummies out there. Okay, now when you turn the corner, you got to hit the guy in the face. You know what I mean? Like I like that there's balls. You said on springs. There's balls on springs.
I don't know if Pete has that in Seattle, but I know there's definitely places that do that.
That's awesome. That is.
Anything's better than. Are they gonna be able to put anything in the facility to stop guys from fake backing me down into the paint when there's no hoop and no ball, and all of a sudden they're backing me down like we're playing basketball?
Oh man, I used to love it.
They get so mad. You would hate me so bad. Guys would try to. They'd act like they wanted me to D them up, and I would just keep walking and never even look.
I'll tell you what, the locker room got me prepared for real life, though. I was walking through New York one time with my wife. We're walking, and a kid did this to me or whatever, and I fucking just straight broke down and then swatted his fake shot, okay? Yep. He was around his crew, too, and me and my wife hand back in, walk-off moment just happened back there. The locker room prepared me for that, though, because as soon as somebody walks up to you, there is a chance that it's going to, there's a chance that it's going to be and then you got to. People have been got, by the way, with no ball. You can't really call travel, so that's quite an advantage when there's no ball.
Also in New York, some kid thought he was going to get the edge on you. You hit a pass set and fucking stonewalled the shit out of him. I remember that as well.
I am all about public situations happening, you know what I mean? Especially if the other person gets it. Like when I swatted that kid, he like buried his head, you know what I mean? It was like, hey, thanks for playing along.
Yep, he knew.
So you did one-on-one pass rush with a New York citizen?
Yeah, a guy went to do like I don't know if he's a citizen of New York. He might have been visiting like us. We were not from there. But he did like a little bit of a rip thing.
Yeah.
And I
got fucking washed down.
It was, you got to be ready for those moments. They don't happen a lot. That's why Baker and M seeing that UFO, like, hey, they were ready for that moment. That's not going to happen. You got to be ready for those moments.
No, they weren't ready. They need their phones out. They needed video footage. The only thing that would have made that pass rush better is if you would have taken a set and just pushed them right into oncoming traffic and the taxi just blasted.
What if it was a screen? What if I treated it like a screen? Like, all right, club.
If you would have caught if Sam would have thrown you a fake ball he goes into the street, that would have been the greatest video ever.
I have such ADD when I'm walking with Sam, by the way. She's just like doing her thing. Goes, stop. You know what I mean? The whole, it's a blast. Walking is one of our favorite. City walking is one of our favorite things. We find some CBD and we just kind of waltz around. Oh, it's a good time. I wonder if those will ever come back. Will that ever come back?
Yeah.
Will my public pass set ever come back in any other state?
Yeah.
Go to Texas. Go to Mississippi.
Mississippi's open as well?
Yeah.
I never would have guessed Mississippi was going to be number 2. Never would have guessed.
It is.
Full stadiums next season.
Fucking Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is like, you want to come play in front of fans? Fucking come. You come right here, pal.
Great recruiting.
I'm pretty sure they had like 50,000 at Ole Miss, Mississippi State this year.
Who was that? Stipe said he went to that Browns game where they said they had 24,000. He was like 24,000. Yeah. He said it felt like a lot more than 24,000. We were talking earlier in the show before you got here about how the reopening of everything now is a whole new bag of tricks that we didn't even, could have considered coming out of this whole thing. I saw in the nightly news last night the anxiety of people going back into public, and there's always going to be people that are ready to go. I think we're in an interesting time to be alive right now, Agent.
Yeah, it's going to be a really weird transition because now even it's happening in Texas. Like the mask mandate is off, but then some businesses are still saying, no, you still need to wear a mask if you're here. Like there's such a weird in between here for probably the next year.
I hope it's just for the next year.
Yeah, you're right. Probably longer.
No.
I hope not. Let's go to Clay in Boston. What's going on, bub?
What up, Pat? How's it going to you and the boys? Shout out to Foxy for that beautiful bet last night.
Yeah, he's got him coming again. There's another one up there. Fade Foxy odds boost is something you can find at FanDuel. It is 17-7 over the last 24 days.
It is a moneymaker. I will tell you that. Thank you very much.
Oh, no, Foxy.
So he's picking Michigan over Michigan State. So he's doing this strictly for himself. Foxy bet on Michigan over Michigan State tonight.
He's taking Michigan State to cover the 12.5.
No, if that's fade.
He's
fade,
going
Foxy. This scumbag.
So Foxy's just using his mush to help. No, this is
this scumbag.
Clay, we don't have a lot of time, but we just found out what Foxy did.
What a piece of shit.
Oh, wow. That's my first time seeing that, by the way. Foxy has direct connect to FanDuel now. So he's making that. That's my first time seeing that. I did not know he was using his jinxing powers to help out his alum. Wow!
I mean, finally wasn't on Hammer Down yesterday. I went 4-0. He's
never allowed back.
He's not allowed in the room
All right,
anymore.
Clay. Sorry, we only got like 30 seconds. What do you want to talk about, brother?
No worries, man. Hey, just wanted to give you a heads up on a badass documentary. I know you love the Intimidator thing. Not a NASCAR fan, but you got to check out The Golden Hour. It is beast. It's behind the scenes of Days of Thunder and how they made that movie.
Okay, thank you, Clay. Appreciate that. I do like a good documentary. I don't know if it's going to be better than The Intimidator. I think I'm at my max of NASCAR docs, but I'll check out The Golden Hour next year. AJ, you have anything to say to these serious listeners?
No, I'm good. I just want to see if maybe Baker and his wife could produce some footage of this.
Well, it's like Bigfoot. You're in awe. It's tough to get the phone out. Still can believe. Still could happen. Chris Mad Dog Russo with Mad Dog on the should be up next. His show is much better than ours. You got about 6 minutes till that. Okay, what are you saying? You're saying it's bullshit?
No, I'm saying I believe that he definitely saw something, but it also made me think about, who's going to document some kind of alien footage is going to be Darius. Darius has that dash cam. I remember we were down in his car in Florida. He has a dash cam on at all times.
Yeah, he's like a Russian driver. You know how in Russia they have cameras on every single one? Darius got that. Darius basically says, anything pops off here, I want to let you know. We got it.
You ain't going to get got.
Bro, those Russian, they have everything on footage. Just everything's on camera. Guy loses his entire body. It's like Russian internet's like, hit eagle. It is wild.
Where was it, Ty? You may know. Somewhere they said like they're close to having the whole country under surveillance.
England.
Uzbekistan.
England has cameras everywhere.
Sorry. Why'd you say it like that?
Thought it might be right.
You have no idea. All right, let's get some phone calls. Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
While Gumpy's probably given the right answer.
There is cameras everywhere in England. They catch a lot of criminals that way.
There's cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
Dude, you see these Google Maps? Google Maps are better than old school surveillance cameras now. You can zoom in on the house you grew up on and get at least 1080p probably on that thing. Most surveillance cameras are running with fucking standard def on that thing. It's unbelievable. Everything is.
I'm talking live video that they're going to be watching anything that happens in a public place.
Everything. They got access to everything.
We can't. The government and whoever else is trying to get the footage, they can, but we can't see live footage.
We need the cameras from the Cecil Hotel. Those are incredible.
Well, yeah. Your Cecil Hotel still around, by the way. Good for Cecil. You're talking about like Truman Show. We should just be able to watch like blocks if you want to watch. Just
I don't want to. No, I was just saying.
Sure sounds like
who knows? Who knows where
China has at least 200 million cameras installed in the country.
Yeah, and if you fly in there now from outside, they're anal swab.
Yep.
Mandatory anal swab.
That's not real.
Yeah, it's on camera too, AJ.
It's the only way to get accurate readings.
Hey, by the way,
live video.
No, it's not.
Most China thing of all time, isn't it? Is that not like the character of China, right?
Hawk, why don't you flap your wings over there and go find out for us?
If you view everything, get the Hawk over there. Get the
If you buy me a first class ticket, I will.
Yeah, it's too long. It would be very expensive, but it's good content though. We'll think about it off the show. But the character of China, like the heel character of China, them saying like, yeah, we'll open, yeah, you can come on back if you want, no problem. What do we have to do though? Oh yeah, you got to get your asshole swabbed.
We're gonna stick a baton up your butt.
You want to come?
Hey, is it at least a quick test? Is it at least like a 10 or 15 minute one?
No, I would assume it's just like the COVID nasal one where they got to get all the way in there.
Apparently, I've read somewhere that it's like very painful, and it said like a lot of people have been like very distraught after it's done.
Jeez.
Well, no, you're getting your asshole prodded by somebody you never met before in a line, bro. I mean,
what if you're the one what if you're administering the test? Like if you're the person swabbing them, that wouldn't be fun to do that all day.
Well, I think that's why they're the ones leaking the information for how bad it is, so they don't have to do as many. I would assume that the foreigners traveling to China number has dropped significantly since the anal swab mandatory mandate that popped in.
Yeah, I heard the Q-tip size like 5 inches wide.
Shut up.
All right. Shut up. Let's get to Jared in California. Jared, what's going on, bub?
Hello?
What's going on, pal?
Hey, nothing much. I talked to Mr. Cowboy yesterday, quoting a tweet about Juju taking body shots from Ryan Garcia. And it's just a big hater. I just need him to move on from the playoff game last year.
Was this guy's name Jared?
Yeah.
Yeah, he spells it Jarryd, so his opinions mean nothing.
All right.
This guy's a jujube, right?
Probably, I assume so.
This guy's a jujube.
If you spell your name like that, he probably 18, 17, something like that.
No, but he didn't spell his name like that, obviously. I mean, that was not his decision. But are you still in it with the jujubes? I did see that video that was made on the internet of you punching Juju in the gut as opposed to King Ryan Garcia. Are you back entrenched in a war with the jujubes right now?
Things have been quiet because nothing's really going on. He hasn't had any opportunities to dance on the field down 20 in the playoffs or give other teams motivation before the game. And before you say he didn't, the teams said he did. So it is quiet down a little bit. I assume he actually did comment on IG today that now we can talk after the Big Ben news. So I assume it'll heat up here in the future. But if he thinks he's going to get $15 million from the Steelers, he's fucking insane. So see you later, pal.
He's a hater, dude, isn't he?
Yeah, you are. I thought Juju was he was your guy for a while, wasn't he? It was
Tough,
TikTok that blew it.
Tough wide receiver.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, he's great on the field, and then he fumbled 2 playoff bursts away, and then was dancing and didn't care about the game. And, you know, hard workers who come out of the steel mill, and then they go down to the S&T bank, and they cash their check, and then they go straight to the local bar, and they put that couple, you know, whatever they want to spend in cash on the bar, and then the bartender just pulls money from them until it's gone. Those guys don't appreciate that
at all. And if those guys figure out Twitter,
beautiful story.
Well, those guys are starting to figure out Twitter, and you're starting to hear those guys a lot. By the way, those guys, as they're putting the dollars down, there's a lot of them probably from in that same area. Before the money is pulled and the next round is drawn, they're now on their phones and they're letting people know that how they feel about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But they're at war with the jujubes, the younger ones.
Hey, what Ben get? What did Ben's deal look like?
Yeah, he got separated. I mean, he ate this, by the way. I've seen a lot of people not eat these as much as he was.
The Steelers should give him $25 million after this. You want to fucking tackle this guy over the middle?
No way.
You know how fucking chiseled his midsection is going to be?
No way. That's a strike zone, too, by the way. They're not allowed to hit high or anything. He's training to take hits over the middle.
He might not get tackled next year.
It's like Rocky, dude.
To your question, AJ, Ben took a $5 million pay cut. So he was supposed to get $41 million. He took a $5 million pay cut, which makes it 36. His cap hit this year will be 26. Next year will be 10. So they're saving $15 million in cap space this season.
So he had 2 years left?
Si, senor.
Huh. So he took $5 million this year, $10 million next year?
He's taking $5 million less than what he was supposed to be paid. So
That's it.
He's giving up $5 million.
Oh, what a
$5 million.
guy.
Hero.
Atta baby, Ben.
Helping out the Steelers.
But right at the
No,
bottom,
listen,
though,
I
he
want him to
said
get all his money. Sorry, AJ, what?
But at the bottom, Rappaport, didn't he say? So basically, 1 year, $14 million with greatly reduced cap hit.
Yeah,
he was supposed to get $19 million in cash this year. So the way they restructured it, he's only getting $14 million in cash, and it's 1 year left, and that's it.
Okay. So the 41 mil.
That was just a cap hit.
That was what? Yeah.
With 22 mil of dead money.
So now he's getting paid double what Taylor Heineke's making. It's wild.
So 26 this year, 10 next year. Good to go. As far as cap hit.
Put that thing back up. 1 year, $14 million.
A deal through 2025.
4 voidable years to spread out the cap hit. 4 voidable years. So
Yeah, those don't mean anything.
So it's a 1 year deal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Worth $14 million.
That's what the bottom line says.
Yeah, cap hit is 26 this year, 10 next year.
So if
But
the
what if it
cap hits
retires?
26, why would you take 14 if you're Ben if it's going to be 26 anyways?
Well, I guess that's where the 12 signing bonus comes in. So they converted whatever the.
He's only getting a mil base salary.
That's good. That's actually good. So if you get suspended or you miss games or whatever, your game checks aren't gigantic.
Yeah, the signing bonus being 13/14ths of, you do the math, 6.5 sevenths, 3.
Like remember when Tom,
remember
when Brady got suspended and it was what happened?
Some quick number crunching.
Became a fraction show real quick. A lot of that money signing bonus. That's good news.
Yeah.
He's getting money right now. But, I mean, $5 million less money. Way to do it for the team. I mean,
do they want him back? Do Pittsburgh fans want him back?
See, this is that Juju B thing. I think there's a potential split.
I think it's a good move. I think it's good to keep him around for another year until you can figure out exactly what you're going to do when he's gone.
Well, then also, he would be the right guy to potentially change Dwayne Haskins into a full pro because the change that Ben had to make from his personal life to what he became, although not similar situations with the allegations and everything like that of Ben, but they used to go out a lot. Ben used to go out a lot and have Ben used to get after it or whatever, and then he completely changed. Maybe Dwayne Haskins is next up over there.
Yeah.
Guy can throw the ball around. He can do everything. Maybe this year under Ben will be good leadership or the inevitable rebuild that's going to have to happen.
Yeah. Well, you think are they going to attend the same church?
The non-baloney beaten church?
That's what the sign says?
That might have been the
front?
issue this year because those church services were not in person.
So he had to talk about his meat beat.
We get back inside of the walls.
On Zooms.
Things are going to be.
Hell yeah.
Because you can talk about that in Jesus' house.
Yeah.
But it's just on the Wi-Fi. It's a little different. Because Jesus is on the Wi-Fi. I mean, if you're in those Zoom calls, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he felt a little too comfortable because he was at home. That's why he said all that stuff.
Oh, yeah, behind the webcam.
He had to know it was going to get out. He had to.
No.
I don't know.
It was his
So
testimony.
how did it leak then? It should have been a big deal. Like, did he say like
It was a big deal. Are you kidding
If
me?
you can't trust the church, AJ.
Whoa. Can't trust the. Here's the church.
Yeah.
Here's steeple. The problem is all the people. That's who you can't. It's the other people on the Zooms, dude. You know what I mean? Who did that? I think Will Ferrell did that as George Bush, if I do recall.
SNL?
When he was doing his. No, I think he did that one-man show.
Oh.
Did you ever see that one-man show, Will Ferrell?
On HBO.
Yeah, I think that's where he did it. I think. You see, it's. Let's go to Tyler in Oregon. What's going on, Tyler?
What's going on, Pat, AJ boys? Also, shout out to Shaq's chiropractor this morning.
By the way, Shaq's chiropractor probably does work. By the way, it's chiropractic, but the I would assume, man, being 7'1", that large, there is potential body alignment things that have to happen.
He doesn't use chiropractor. He uses icy hot patches.
Well, probably alongside his pliability, but
True.
Hey, shout out to Shaq, dude. At 48, that table bump, bro, it hurt watching. Ugh.
How long was the match? I haven't seen it.
It was a tag match. I don't know how long it was. There was a lot that happened, though. He took a chair shot, 2 tables, power bomb, a couple good lockup to start this whole thing. I mean, there was a lot to have. It was a good match. It was a great match. He killed it. Cody Rhodes flew, by the way. That is flew around. Cody Rhodes also said yesterday, I've been asking for a job at AEW. That's a blatant lie, but neither here nor there. They put on a great show last night. Hey, they put on a great show, Tyler. You agree?
I agree, and that kind of brings me to my question here. Did that fire the Rookie of the Year up here to get back in the ring? You're seeing Shaq, but also watching Adam Cole, that scumbag, turn on the Undisputed Era?
Adam Cole, by the way, has a shot at the NXT title next week Finn Balor openly challenged him next week for a championship. Finn Balor wrestled Roderick Strong last night in the main event, former member of the Undisputed Era or current member of the Undisputed Era, who got his balls shot by Adam Cole 1 week ago on television or whatever. A lot happened in wrestling last night. Did it fire me up? I always enjoy it. You know, AJ, I always enjoy the wrestling.
Why don't you take this opportunity to challenge Shaq?
So the thing about that is, Shaq and I both understand wrestling, and that would never be a good thing for people to watch. Me and Shaq. You see, you would have to. You see, the person you're fighting rather important in a. Although Rookie of the Year, I mean, let's not fucking get it twisted here, okay? And although last night was entertaining, we know, okay? We all know it was amazing. I am not, maybe 10, 15 years from now, me with a Shaq would be a good match. But that could, in the wrestling business, for a quality product to happen, that would be the last thing anybody would want to see. Me and him as a tag team, wrestling against people that potentially know what they're doing, that would be the move. He was fun.
I think it'd be a fun match to watch. Or what if you could get Shaq to maybe carry Mitt in a backpack into his next match?
Think about how large he is, dude. Think about how fucking big he is. He's 48 years old. Did you see him? He was doing the
Muhammad Ali
Shane McMahon quick feet thing around there. He was moving. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with what Shaq did last night.
I just love that AJ wants Mitt to be carried in like the guy that Ace Ventura had to fight when he got 2 spears to both of his thighs.
Let's go to Kenny in Long Island. What's going on, Kenny?
What's up, Pat? How we doing?
Hey, not too shabby. What do you want to talk about over there in Long Island?
Shabby Paisan. I got a lock for you tonight. Ready? The New York Knicks in the first half are 27-9 ATS. That's a 42% ROI. New York Knicks minus 3.5 against the Detroit Pistons. Shout out Diesel's best bet.
Hey, say what you. Hold on, Kenny. Say what you just said again. You said they're 28-9 or 28-5.
They're 27-9 with a 42% return on investment.
All right, so you're going to have to dive deeper. I think you think a lot harder about your bets than I do with that particular thing. What does that mean? If I see 28 or 27-9 or whatever, I see a hilarious winning streak right there where we should hammer our money on. What is the 41%?
Yes, I've been betting on it for a long time. Sorry to interrupt you because I'm currently working right now. I've been waiting on the line for a long time. But
do your thing.
They are 27-9 against the spread is what that means.
Okay, appreciate you, buddy.
They did not cover the first half last game against the Spurs. I believe they were on a 14-2 run first half before that, if I remember correctly.
So you add that to the...
He just showed out himself.
12-5.
Put the 4 over.
42% ROI.
Shout out. Just showed out himself.
Hey, he deserves it. I mean, who's going to give it to him if he doesn't?
Gumpy does not like the nuke infringement right there.
No, it's just odd.
Gumpy, that's a nuke that, I had never heard before. Had anybody else heard that nuke?
Tasty little morsel.
Wow. That's from Long Island.
Hey, Gumpy, do you ever have people come at you on the internet that want to take your gig and be like
He's in a beef.
Sharp?
He's in a beef right now. He's in a Tilly right now.
Every day, AJ.
He's in a Tilly right now.
No, we're good.
Yeah, with Gumpy got buried by a guy. Gumpy got buried by a guy.
Nigel Seeley just sent me a winner, actually, for the weekend. Set it to lock.
You and Nigel.
Oh, you and Nigel are friends, though?
We're boys.
Put it to bed.
He wants to come on Hammered Down.
No, I thought you guys hated. I like that you guys like each other.
Yeah.
This is good for everybody, with our soccer sharps coming together.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, I thought there was a potential beef going on.
What about, hey, Gump, aren't you boys with that dude Lombardi likes? Vegas Bob or whatever?
Dave, Vegas Dave. Yeah, Gumpy follows.
Don't.
Gumpy, don't you follow?
Lombardi talks him up all the time. I thought he and Gump are boys.
Lombardi loves him, yeah. He's, I think he's like 79-1 on MLB spring training parlays.
Odd Shark has tweeted out, the Knicks are an astounding 25-9-1 against the spread in the first half this NBA season. Okay.
I was wrong. They were on a 13-0 run before they lost or didn't cover the first half against the Spurs the other day.
Oh, so they're getting cold.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
How far are we into the basketball season? NBA.
Almost halfway.
Yeah.
All-Star break's coming up, but it's not an All-Star. They're going to do like video games, I think.
Oh, they're not going to play?
I don't think so.
I know LeBron was mad that they were going to play it, but so they've backed off. They're not doing it.
I've only heard that I've only heard that players were mad that they're playing, and with the NBA, I automatically assume like, oh, they're not playing then. That's what that means. If the players are like, no, we ain't doing it, the NBA is like, okay, you're right.
But they are having a 3-point contest and a dunk contest.
Is
I
Larry
believe.
Bird in it?
No, I've never heard of any of the guys in the dunk contest outside of Obi Toppin. The talent pool is pretty shitty, and I think the 3-point contest was actually halfway decent, though.
Is that from our show? Oh no!
What?
Daily Caller tweets: the Seahawks are making trade calls for Russell Wilson. Should fans revolt? That's because of our show.
Burn it down.
By the way, this is the business, baby.
That's business.
This is news breaking, baby.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're saying,
shout out to Diana.
Yeah.
Thank you, Diana.
Aren't you claiming that she said they were fielding calls and they were making calls for Russell, but he's not actively being shopped? Then what is the definition of shopping a player?
Well,
taking calls in.
Well, it's the demand or she literally just got done speaking about how the phrasing of things really matters in that world.
Be very careful.
As soon as she said the calls are going both ways,
No one's clipping that part.
Immediate asshole of, oh, they're shopping him. And she's like, whoa, no, not technically. So it's like, you know what I mean? Oh, fuck.
Well, they're fielding calls, and Houston's not fielding any calls for Deshaun Watson, so who wants their quarterback more, Seattle or Houston?
Well, with everything we're hearing drama-wise behind the scenes, it feels like the Seattle Seahawks situation is quietly, I don't want to say just as ugly, because Russell hasn't said I'm not playing there publicly or whatever, but it seems like behind the scenes it's just as chaotic as what's going on in Houston, it feels like.
I think Team 3 should be very excited that Deshaun is still having all this beef with the Texans because it takes a little bit of heat off of his situation with Seattle.
Well, and also, as long as they're not answering calls, more teams are interested in Russell Wilson, right?
Yeah, I guess.
If you're Team 3, you're pumped about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, keep not answering until we get a chance to land where we want to go. Chicago,
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
How do you randomly pick those teams?
We know who picked those teams, AJ.
Who?
Say it. Say it.
Baby Future? Little Baby Future?
He's saying Team 3.
Yeah, Team 3. Someone who's very much a part of Team 3.
Oh.
You're saying Sierra.
No, bro. On Team 3, no job's too small, bro.
Correct.
Spiritual advisor?
No.
Could be.
Sierra. That's where Sierra wants to go.
Miami?
No, she said no to that.
Oh,
Sierra loves Chicago.
I mean, Russ can go to Chicago and see how it is, because it ain't going to be better than Seattle.
Yeah, it's
Well,
beautiful.
Miami will cut him 1 year into a deal.
True.
So let's go to Sean in New Jersey. By the way, there's some Dolphins fans that watch. Please know that I say things like that
No, you can't.
specifically to fuck with Gumpy.
You can't say that.
But if you get fucked with as well, I'm sorry about it, dude. I got to
Suck it.
speak for 4 hours a day, so some things are going to be for me. Let's go to Sean in New Jersey. What's going on, Sean?
Hey, Pat, AJ, and the boys. Good to hear from you guys. How you doing?
Hey, good to hear from you, too.
Hey, man, so I wanted to talk about the Jaguars. So when my girl and I were living in London, it was so cool to have the NFL games come to London back in 2018 and such. And, the Jaguars every year seem to come more than any other team, I'd assume because it's harder to get fans out in Jacksonville. But they got T. Lawrence and they got Myers coming now. In 2019, I think they were 27th in attendance. Do you think that with T-Law and with Myers coming in, that their attendance is going to come up, and even like people, outside of Jacksonville are going to come in to see him, and in that case, they won't have to go to London that often as they were before?
Great question, Sean. I think Jacksonville's relationship with London will remain because the Khan family, I believe, has a soccer team over Fulham.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I believe Fulham is the team that they own over there. AJ, you played in Europe or no?
No, I never went over.
I think the Packers are the only team who haven't played in London.
They don't want to give up. No one wants to give up a home game to go. You have to give up a home game to go, so you're going to lose money.
Yeah, but Jacksonville gave up 2, and I think that's what he's asking about. you think with Trevor Lawrence probably being able to move tickets in Jacksonville again if they get good, would he want to give up 2 of those in Jacksonville while you're trying to build a fan base? That'll be interesting, I guess. Maybe the NFL will say, like, no, because they love the growth in Europe. They're looking for world domination. So I'd assume the London stuff will continue. There's something that just came out about Les Miles. Okay, there's reports about Russell Wilson. There's photos from the new Space Jam. It's going to be awesome. LeBron's going. What's that?
What?
What about what happened? What was the first thing you said? Les Miles, what happened?
It's terrible. You got to look it up yourself. He's allegedly, okay? Don't want to be allegedly a creep.
You mean the guy who eats dirt? It's got something wrong with him?
The thing about him, okay, the dirt, everything like that, the videos, the pictures, he might be the worst time manager in the history of coaching football. And it just kind of got slid by there. When he was at LSU, every game there was some timeout clock fuck up. And they had so many talented players. It was like the Mad Hatter does it again. He completely does it again or whatever. But there's alleged stories coming out about him. Which are not good, by the way. Just know that we are on the side of, if this is real, we are you get it. Space Jam, LeBron James, he's going to make that movie good, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to suck.
No. Look at that. That's an awesome still.
Yeah, Tweety Bird does not look good at all.
Oh, my God. This movie's going to be awesome.
Oh, so bad.
His hair looks, looks incredible. Where'd that come from?
Look at the brand of the jersey there.
It's Hollywood. The movie magic. I cannot wait. Oh, my God. He just fucking probably drained a 3 right in their eyeball. It's probably a big comeback time. They were losing. Here's a comeback story.
Of course, you made Lulu jump up.
Oh, my God. This is to win it.
What is he, a Dragon Ball Z character now?
Bro, the Monstars are getting yoked on by the Toon Squad, bro.
Stink.
Ugh.
Look awesome.
When does this come out?
Hopefully
not soon enough.
Yeah. Summer
I would rather watch reruns of Young Rock.
Hell yeah, in a good way.
Hey, this last episode might have been like 18, 19 minutes.
Really good.
This is the best one.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
the best episode. I watched it last night with the wife. Best episode to date, this one. They're starting to get good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Any new people? Like I know Coach O was on. Is anyone else?
Vince McMahon, Iron Sheik. King Kong Bundy. I mean, there's his grandma. I mean, there's a lot of appearances there. And they show a little what 2032 is going to look like, by the way, with they utilize like a phone that has a hologram out there, you know, what 2032 is going to look like. And at the very end of this episode, it was pretty clever, you know. Dwayne Johnson's walking down and he goes, "I'm Dwayne Johnson, and I approve this message," by the way. As if the entire episode was an actual presidential political campaign ad.
Oh, yeah.
Which it feels like it is.
Interesting.
Do you think he's going to give any hints to who his vice president candidate would be with him?
Iron Sheik did have a pretty big role last night. He's still alive.
Coach O?
Coach O's no longer.
How about the Green Hurricane? Wasn't he a guy?
Shane Helms?
Yeah.
The Hurricane.
I knew he was green.
He was in the Royal Rumble this past.
Yeah.
He's actually one of the most hilarious humans I think I've been around.
Great dude.
Yeah, Shane Helms, a hilarious human being.
Hell yeah.
If he has the Hurricane as vice president, lock that thing up. They might be able to bump that up 8 years or so from the 2032 expectation if they had to do that.
I mean, it's Cena. It's got to be Cena. Was he on the portable hologram device?
Cena has not shown up yet. I assume episode 10, maybe 11.
Okay, that'd be huge.
Is that when you'll start watching, when Cena shows up?
Oh, I watched the first episode. It fucking stunk, so I'm not going to watch it. But if Cena comes back, I definitely will check it out.
People have said things that, you know, sound similar to what you say.
Oh.
I want to let you know, I am steady in the camp that it is a good show.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Hey, hats off to The Rock. It is a critical darling. I mean, it's 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. He
Hell
says
yeah.
it every week. You know, I can't believe everyone
Is it really,
in the world's
though?
watching.
Is it really?
Yeah, he's trying to shut down all those haters out here.
Yeah, he's letting you guys
It's
know.
interesting. I never see anyone talk about it on social media either. It seems
We-
to be only
what?
Pat.
No, it's got its own bicep.
I
We
didn't
use
get
the
it.
hashtag.
Bingo. It has its own hashtag, so that says enough about it. But this past week I couldn't watch it because I was watching Biggie Doc and Penn's game was on at the same time, so that's a little bit difficult, you know what I mean? But the last week when I tweeted about it, it got 3 to 4 retweets at least.
See,
you know what I mean?
Proof's in the pudding.
At least 3 to 4, maybe 5 to 6. Some of them, you know.
Some of those replies, yeah, they were very
positive.
Is that how you want to spin it?
I don't think they were Rotten Tomatoes voters. Now that I've heard Rotten Tomatoes rating is 99 out of 100 or 88 tomato meter.
Hell yeah, look at that.
Certified fresh.
93%.
Audience score 93%.
Hey, baby, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Dewey.
Do we know any comparables? Like, do we know any other shows or movies that get that high a score?
There's nothing that is ever compared to Young Rock.
Maybe
Please.
Toy Story.
The Office, Seinfeld, probably like
Nothing's ever
Cheers.
hit over 85% on both.
Cheers.
Toy
ratings.
Story is embattled right now, by the way. I don't know if Young Rock is going to age like Toy Story has been aging. Now
What
they want
happened?
Buzz Lightyear. They're calling for Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Wait, what did he do?
Is he
What
from
was canceled
space,
Buzz
or-
Lightyear?
Buzz,
I
I'm
know
not sure.
Dr. Seuss is getting
He fell with style, and this time he fell with style very, very quickly. It seemed like on the internet.
and gone.
I didn't look this up.
Anyways,
What happened?
Young Rock, though, is unbelievable.
I mean, I'm not going to look it up. What happened to Buzz Lightyear?
Look it up.
Just look it up, dude.
He Les Miles, and I got a list of things we have to check out after the show.
Chuck
That's what we
Berry,
do, by the way. We say, hey, do your homework, so we don't have to talk about it because that ain't what this is about. 24,000 people watching right now. What are you doing?
Also, hey, why are you when you FaceTime me in the future, like you're allowed to wear a shirt? Because sometimes I'm answering in public places.
Let me send you the photo of what the fuck I saw last night when I FaceTime you. You guys can put this up. I mean, he might have been in a fucking barn. I'm sending it in.
I was in a basketball barn, watching basketball practice.
Yeah, wait till you see the service. I mean, just if you guys can put that up on the screen, please.
It's coming.
Try to answer it with parents around. I'm like, all right, maybe I'll answer. Maybe he got in a bad car wreck. I need to answer. Nope, just you popped up shirtless.
So he answers that.
Were you sanding?
This is immediately. Are you sanding?
Zorro, dude.
This is immediately after he texts me that podcast, by the way, about that doctor about Tiger Woods.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 15 minutes. I'm about to get into the ping pong Oculus Arena, and he's like, "This is interesting" or whatever. So I call him back, and I'm like, he answers. My first thing is that guy full of fucking shit or what? Like that's the first thing I say, and he goes, "I'm in a basketball barn." He starts whispering. I'm like, "Oh my god!" So there's like, he's around fam. This is family AJ we're seeing right here. It was nice to take a trip into the real world with you, although the service was terrible. You look fantastic out there.
Yeah, well, I realized after I hung up, I had to hold the phone up to my ear, and I wasn't looking at you just because it was so loud with all the squeaking in the balls. Now I'm saying, hey, hold on, put it back there, hold that back. And then I put it back to look at the screen, and then you're like, yep, here we go. And I was like, oh, okay, he just screenshot. I couldn't believe I fell for it.
Now that I'm thinking about you holding that thing up there was a bunch of people that saw me screaming in your ear. Good convo. It's good prep for the show. And look, we led off hour 3 with it, by the way. We led off.
And you ended the call with, oh, sweet, yeah, I'm going to listen to this right now. You told me today. Of course not.
Led off the show, by the way, with saying, I answered all those questions that you potentially had on whether or not I listened. I did not listen. I told you I was going to. Let's hear what it's about. That doctor says he's got no shot. That's a shame. All right. What do we want to give away? Anything? No.
Can I win a gaming chair somehow?
Are you ever going to play ping pong again, AJ?
This guy stinks, dude.
I have thought about it. I really have thought about it. I would like to. I mean, if I do, I feel pretty good about it. I'm going to get some victories.
Not against me.
Well, let me know when you're playing, but send me a text. You FaceTimed me a couple of nights ago when you were playing. I saw it later.
FaceTime is like, hey, I'm going in. It's a text is
Showtime,
a text is just brrr, right. The FaceTime is like brrr,
game on.
Brrr, brrr. It's like an SOS. Like, hey, this is happening right now, dude. Let's go.
Yeah, those are the best. I love those people that I send them a text and I instantly get either a call or a FaceTime instead of a text back.
Well, if it needs to be answered right fucking now, yeah. This needs to be answered right now. Before I waste 15 minutes of my time listening to this interview, is this real or not?
You could have just texted that too.
Could have, but I wanted to see what your face was. I couldn't see it anyways because you're fucking masked up. Bro, I got this. I've been putting in the work in there.
Sharpening the saw.
Axe, but yeah. Saw too. Two different maneuvers, but I'm more of a, you know what I mean? Gumpy beat me first game yesterday, though. As I got in there.
I was ready to get a little built-up aggression for that game.
He did have some pent-up energy. It felt like. But yeah, I'm getting good, man. I'm getting good.
You already were good. What do you mean?
No, like playing against those real fuckers. I think I've had to back off the table a foot and a half because when you start playing against the good players, they take advantage of it. Like that's the biggest difference. Not the biggest difference. Obviously, you got to have all the shots and everything like that. But I think the biggest difference is when you start playing against those like really high-ranked ones on there. They're so far back, and they'll even let that thing bounce and go below the table, and then they're coming back with it. So that's what I've been working on, backing off the table a little bit. You know what I mean? Back off a little bit, and then get the hiya. Mm-hmm. I've been jumping.
I like that.
It's awesome. All right, should we give away anything? Nah.
Check out tomorrow.
We should give away something.
I think we should.
Go ahead, Zeke.
Hi, baby Zeke.
What do you want to give away, Zeke?
How
about Evan Fox's car?
Yes.
Yep.
Kid's on vacation. He's down on the beach.
We have a couple merch giveaways still left over from the Super Bowl, if you want to give away those. Or there might be an extra AirPod.
Oh.
Whoa, dude.
Okay, hashtag iWatchPMS right now. AirPod merch, $1,000.
Foxy's car.
And a gaming chair is up for
hell yeah.
Up for grabs.
Go.
Hashtag iWatchPMS. AirPod merch, $1,000 gaming chair. Random winners will be selected. If you tweet that within the next 30 minutes before 4 p.m., you have to get that in.
Good luck.
Hashtag iWatchPMS. Maybe a picture of where you are doing whatever you got going on. I assume the boys who pick the winners stop at the ones that have pictures just naturally because they do their thing.
Hell yeah.
But AirPod merch, $1,000 gaming chair up for grabs. Hashtag iWatchPMS. We appreciate the hell out of you every single day. You're the best. We'll be back with a great Feel Good Friday. Hey, I'm not sure we're going to be able to stir the pot like we did today. Shout out Dianna. Shout out Warren Sharp and Robbie Gould, AJ, all the boys and all of you. You're the best. Hashtag iWatchPMS. Go win some shit. We'll see you tomorrow with a big ass show. This has been the Pat McAfee Show, Thursday, March 4th. Cheers.